Hey everybody, welcome. This is the SuzetteSpeaks show. We have a very hot topic today. I hope you guys are enjoying this beautiful Saturday. I'm here with two very special guests helping me to unpack what has been a monumental day in the history of the Supreme Court and the history of the United States. We have seen the Supreme Court of the United States overturn the constitutionally interpreted right to an abortion. So unfortunately, we have a major change to discuss, and we're gonna have people from both sides. We have a man and a woman today who happen to be brother and sister. They are not gonna speak for every man and every woman everywhere, but they're going to lend their insights to today's conversation. As you can see, the topic for today is My Body, My Choice, the end of Roe v. Wade. I don't know how you guys felt when you were hopefully tuned in yesterday to what was going on, but as I said, the Supreme Court of the United States made a reversal of 50 years of law by issuing a ruling that basically changes the face of women's rights as we've known them over the last 50 years. This is now going to be the first generation of women that will have less rights than their mothers and their grandmothers. I want to say hello to everyone watching before we get started and bring up Mandrell and Shushu. I'm so happy to see everyone here. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. Before we get started, hit the like button, why don't you? I need your support, and one way you can support is by hitting the like, commenting, and sharing. It's really important to us YouTubers to get feedback on what we talk about. So as I said, today's topic is going to be a little bit more, what should I say? Controversial. I think there are going to be several sides, and I don't think everybody necessarily, 100% has to agree with what the Supreme Court did or not, but I will hope that our conversation today is going to be somewhat productive, enlightening, and be able to open up the conversation a little bit about how people are feeling. Again, I have two very special guests. You may have seen them over on the Black Man Unfiltered's channel. Jarrell has been a guest over here plenty of times, but he is now on the hot seat, and I'm grateful. Even though I asked him and his sister to change the topic last minute, I said, you know what, this is what people are talking about, and they were very, very, very open to making that change. So I'm going to bring both of them up now, but before I do, guys, hit the like button. It's super important. We want to make sure more people can see the stream. Know that the stream is happening. This is the SuzetteSpeaks show. Again, I'm a TV host and attorney out of Miami, Florida. I love doing interactive topics. I go live, even though they say that's not how you make money on YouTube. You're supposed to just drop videos every day, but I actually like to sit and talk to people and hear what they have to say. This is going to be a show that is just like an open mic. The public square is what we hope to recreate here. Although I'm an attorney, I'm not going to be giving any legal advice today. This is for informational and entertainment purposes only. So please know that if you need to address any type of legal issue, you need to speak to an attorney directly, right? I'm just going to be discussing constitutional rights from an informational and educational perspective. All right. And because this is a very hot topic, I want you guys, please be respectful. Please, 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 please be respectful of one another. It is going to probably evoke some emotions that sometimes, can be very rough, can be very, very heartfelt, especially if people who have had to have a procedure to end a pregnancy. But it is something that I think, we got to talk about. I think this is something that happens behind closed doors and typically does not necessarily, get the open mic that it deserves. But now that the Supreme Court has basically changed our lives as women, we have to talk about it, because now the question becomes, should this even have happened? We'll take it back. Should Roe v. Wade have even been the law of the land to begin with? Or the Supreme Court get it wrong now by reversing it? And my question really is, as an attorney, what else are they coming for? Are y'all ready for a good discussion? Please hit the like button so I can bring up my guests, Mandrell and Shushu, will be helping me unpack this crazy day that we had over the last 24 hours. This is right after the Supreme Court has rendered its ruling. So I'm grateful that I see so many people in the chat. Big up yourselves. If you are watching on our simulcast on Jamaicans.com, I want to say hello to you and wagwan to my people. I'm excited. Like I said, this is not a typical topic on a Saturday, but it's one that we wanted to make sure we let the people know is super important because, like I said, it has changed the course of women's lives as we've known them. Big up to the chat. Let me see, Peter Gay. Yes. So it has become unconstitutionally guaranteed. Thank you, Peter, for clarifying. And I was going to get into it as we open up the discussion. Yes, this does not make the ending of pregnancy illegal in all states. It sends it back to each individual state to make decisions. So, for example, here in Florida, we have a law now that's in place that it will be legal up until 15 weeks. 15 weeks you have. But we are now seeing that there are also states where there have been what they call trigger laws, where in case this day were to ever happen, in case Roe v. Wade would ever be overturned, it has de facto, meaning just by action of law, operation of law, the law that will now stand in that state automatically makes it illegal in certain states. So we're going to talk a little bit about those trigger laws. We're going to talk a little bit about what this means for you and your life, your state where you live. I'm going to definitely drop the link and see what everyone has to say. But first and foremost, hit the hey, Big Bad Bull is in the building. How you doing? Good to see you, Jill. Good morning from beautiful Miami. Nice to see you, my sister. Glad you guys are here. Again, they're all big. Thank you so much. Big ups to Black Man Unfiltered Network. Already showing love. Appreciate you, brother, on the super chat. I'm here to support my channel, brother and sister, Mandrell and Shushu in the building. I appreciate you very much. Black Man Unfiltered has been on this show many times, supporting right now. So are we going to bring him up? Let's bring him up, y'all. Appreciate you. Hit the like button as you come in. So here we are. Brother and sister, what's going on?
Hey, Suzette, how you doing?
Let me get this music down. How you doing today?
All right, how are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
Fantastic. Y'all looking good. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So I have asked you to come on to speak about something that is uber controversial. And I should even say it. I have to say ending pregnancy. I'm sorry, on my own stream. But there's language that we can and cannot use. And there are things that we are going to say again that we don't intend to offend, but we hopefully can speak honestly and openly about this. And again, it is not an easy topic to deal with. This is not a channel where we're placing judgment. I know, Mandrell, your face already looking like, but I'm going to say what I need to say. But it is a tough subject. It is a very excruciating decision for a woman to make. But before we start, I'm going to ask the two of you to please introduce yourselves. What's up? Tell the people who you are.
Hello, I'm Mandrell. You know me from Unapologetic with Mandrell over on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. And you know my sister from several different platforms. She's with me now as my
she said introduce yourself. You introduced you. Let me introduce you.
She gonna introduce herself. She said
how you doing? My
name was doing a good job, but go ahead, Shushu.
My name is Shabaria, but they call me Shushu. I am also the co-host of Unapologetic with Mandrell and Shushu over on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, which airs every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I've also been on other platforms, other networks. And we are here on the SuzetteSpeaks show. You know what I mean? We're going to get into this deep and very interesting topic.
Yeah, glad to have you guys. And again, thank you so much for being flexible. We were going to talk about the recession, but now we're talking about even more, which I say impactful, life-changing, monumental. I can't think of enough adjectives to give this ruling of the Supreme Court. So I'll ask your opinions. What did you think when you first saw when did you first hear of the ruling coming out? Were you one like me? I keep my news on in the backdrop and I kind of listen. I got an email actually.
I
But
do.
tell me how you heard the news.
Well, same here. I got an alert. I got an email. The news was on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it was early. It was earlier in the morning, and that I found out, like really early. So I guess they had just done it not too long before that. So when I saw it, I was like, about time.
Yeah,
Like,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
and it's not in that case. The context is we all saw that coming.
right.
Hmm.
We knew that they had been doing it enough. They had been coming for that for a long time.
Right. Right. And it's funny because
Understood. That so your first reaction, you were not surprised. You were like,
No,
oh,
not at
okay, they
all.
finally did it. Okay.
They were moving the pieces to do this right in front of our faces.
Hmm.
You know, for years now, they played the long game with this one.
right.
And by they, you mean conservatives?
Republicans, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And Shushu, what were you thinking when you first initially heard the ruling yesterday?
I'm not surprised because like Mandrell said, this has been a long time coming. They've really been playing chess with this, moving the pieces, like gradually over time, and it was only a matter of time before they overturned it anyway. So yeah. And
All
then,
right.
especially after the census came out, this last census report came out, and how the birth rates have gone down, like in certain races. Oh yeah, they was gonna overturn this.
Yes, I wanna get to the why in a little bit, because I do think some of us look for, what should I say, not only long term, but implications that come from different, what should I say, not only the political class, but
Socioeconomic class.
socioeconomic and philosophical classes in our country. I think wanted parts of that wanted this, as you said, this outcome for the last 30, 40 years. When you saw it, did you automatically think it was right or it was wrong? Or I know you weren't surprised by it, but do you think it is something that should have been instated, or that the constitutional right or guarantee should have been removed and it should have been sent back to the states, each individual states, in kind of a patchwork all over the country? You can be in one state, California, and another state, for example, Kentucky or Tennessee or one of these other states, Midwestern and mostly Southern states, that you can't receive this type of procedure. Do you think it was a good decision for the country?
No.
Why not?
Well, there are plenty, regardless of how you feel about it, whether it be through religion or philosophy, there are quite a few different reasons why termination would be a feasible option.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you live in another state, in a state where it's absolutely illegal, you're going to jail, the doctor's going to jail, the nurses, all the cousins. You know what I'm saying? Because Texas is one of those states where everybody's going. If you get a termination, just to not set off the algorithm, that's why I'm using that word. Yeah, everyone's getting it. Everyone's getting time. And I'm just like, okay, what if this is a situation where it's a medical emergency and the mother is about to pass away if we don't terminate this pregnancy?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because let me add this in there too, because there's a caveat. Like certain places, certain states, the only exception where you can have one is if there is some kind of medical issue, like the woman's life is at stake if she goes through with the pregnancy or whatever. But even with that, like you still have to get like confirmation or like from other doctors. Like it can't be just one doctor saying, okay, this procedure is necessary. We have to get like 3 or 4 other doctors to say the same thing.
But then you might not have the time for that.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You might not.
And also when it comes to say incestual rape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say rape,
Yes, understood. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think it's just cruel and inhumane to force a woman to carry that child to term and then give birth. And then you can always give it up for adoption. Wait, you just made this lady carry this kid to term and give birth to it.
Yeah.
And it was a product of
Yeah.
raped by a family member. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's cruel, in my opinion. So, from my point of view, that's cruel. And then like, we give it up for adoption. Yeah, but okay. Has anyone ever looked into the
The trauma
foster
of
care
carrying
system?
that child.
Let's just pause that.
Anyone looked into the
Let's just
foster
pause
care?
that. Let's talk about how much of a contradiction that is.
Mm.
Bring a life into this world just to give it away. Isn't that like, you know what I mean? Isn't that sad? You give it away anyway.
Well, there's
Like-
definitely conundrums in terms of morals when people are talking about life. And I think there are so many different arguments. I'm going to do a quick reset. So many people have joined. Welcome. This is a new day in the United States of America. Our Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, for those of you who are watching overseas, if you haven't heard, overturned a 50-year precedent. This is where my legal mind is going. If we don't have a court that follows precedent and they can say they got it wrong, I am really concerned from my legal hat as to what else can be reversed in this way.
All of it can.
It seems like nothing is guaranteed. That's that from a legal mindset, that really bothered me in terms of this ruling. And in a concurrent opinion by himself, Justice Clarence Thomas, who was, to me, one of the folks that spearheaded this movement for the last 30 years by being on the court. He's one of the senior justices, and all the justices that voted for the overturning of Roe v. Wade were all appointed by conservative or Republican presidents, and 3 in particular were appointed by President Trump. Yeah. So when we look at, and I think there's so much more, and I'm going to try to scale back because I'm running forward, but I'm going to try to take my time. But when we look at both elections, from the president coming all the way down, the implications of who sits on your benches, who makes decisions with your freedom. I'm talking about from criminal law, like on a local level in the state courts, to the national level, which we're talking about today. It is so important to understand how all of this will end up impacting us. And I don't think, especially we in the United States who love our freedom and take it for granted oftentimes, we often think, oh, ain't nobody gonna touch this. And I've been talking to my mom, my aunts in the last 24 hours about, when they grew up, this was not legal. And what happened to a lot of women were they went to quack doctors, people who were unlicensed, because one thing is for sure, it's not going to stop termination from happening. It's going to stop safe termination from happening. So when they told me about, rest in peace, a cousin of mine, I didn't even know, she's older, she would have been probably like my mom them age. When she was younger, she didn't tell anybody, and she didn't have resources, or there was so much shame and all kinds of implications back then. We're talking 50 or more years ago. And she bled out and died. And that wasn't uncommon for people to be caught in bathrooms, bleeding, and all kinds of, uncouth methods of trying to get rid of one's pregnancy. So I think we are taking it for granted. And I'm just saying we in the United States, because we've had this right for 50 years. We do not know if this will lead back to those days. Let's say it like that. I don't know. I hope not. A lot of people who have come out against this have said people are going to die. I understand what you're saying. KL says safe termination, not safe for the terminated babies. Well, hey, that's the other side of the argument. Right. The Supreme Court has now told us that, federally speaking, conception, fertilization is when they believe the quickening of life happens. Fertilization. Right? Some people are going to argue, no, that's just a blob of cells at that point. It's not a sentient being. It doesn't think. It has no brain stem. It's a blob. Right. Some are going to say that. Some, like KL, will take the other side. And I'm glad you are here, KL, and I'm open to your feedback. What would you guys have to say about that in terms of the transition the country may be going into? The idea that what we once thought was guaranteed probably is not going to be guaranteed anymore, because people are afraid of same-sex marriage now coming into play. I'm like, what would stop you from going back to interracial marriage? What would stop you from going back to any of these things?
Right.
But yeah, it's a slippery slope. What do you guys think in terms of what the implication in society might be?
Well, for me, my question is this: how are you going to stop them?
Right.
Mm,
Honestly, if the bring it, let's say interracial marriage, right? Let's say the Supreme Court says, okay, nationally, this is not safe anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? States are allowed to make this illegal. How are you going to stop them?
mm,
What are we going to do?
yeah.
Right.
And what's
You
so
know what I'm saying?
contradictory, yeah. Shusha, you want to add anything?
I agree. Like, this means they can take anything off the table, really.
Yeah,
Anything.
it is a poison pill. I really do believe. I'm like, wow. Because what I saw argued, and welcome everyone. This is the Suzette Speaks show. Thank you, Taipan, for your generosity on the super chat. I want to, again, try to handle this with as much sensitivity. I'm going to drop the link early to see what you guys have to say. You don't have to cam up. You can come show me your face in the back, and then you could just have your avatar, and we'll only hear your voice. Love to hear what you think around the world, even because I know my folks in the Caribbean are watching today too. Big up to our co-sponsor, Jamaicans.com, and everybody watching on the Suzette Speaks show. Like, comment, share. This is a real heavy topic, and I respect all points of views. Just know that. I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate today, though, because we're going to understand what this means for actual people's lives. So, Taipan, thank you. We have had Roe v. Wade for a while. Look at out of wedlock births. Look at the quality of children's, I would say, lives. Look at the outcome. Hmm, 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 hmm. It's going to be worse now. Interesting. So, from Taipan, thank you again for your point of view, saying that did a federally legal right to a termination create, now this can be argued, but their opinion, create the avenue for out of wedlock births. I think it's a little bit contradictory because you wouldn't have a birth, but I hear what you're saying. The option making it, I guess, people less afraid
Right.
to prevent a birth. Let's say this
Right.
quality of children's lives. Look at the outcomes. It's going to get worse now. So I can see this working in or being argued in two ways. There are going to be a lot of people that say, argument, guys, it's about making people poor again. Now, you know how they say, make America great again, make America poor again? I don't know. I'm just saying, devil's advocate,
Right.
that
How's it
there,
going to make them
there
poor?
have been arguments that, and hear me out, there have been arguments that there have been, due to termination, 700,000 people haven't been born that are not in the U.S. workforce. I've heard numbers bigger than that when it comes to the numbers of Black babies that have never been born. So there's an argument that I've been hearing, not saying I agree with, that with this decision, it's going to guarantee, y'all hit the like button, more poverty, more difficulty, and possibly lead to a bigger, dare I say it, like economic underclass,
Mhm.
and that is one of the desired outcomes. What do you guys think about that?
It's going to lead to a bigger economic underclass.
Like poor people going to basically struggle even more. So it's going to guarantee a workforce. It's going to guarantee people have to get 2 and 3 jobs again. It's going to guarantee people who stay stacking our, which I say, service economy.
Well,
So
here's the thing.
go ahead.
People are doing that now. Especially as
Mm,
high as inflation is,
yeah,
8.6% inflation. Like, who accounts for that?
right.
People are struggling now
Mm,
with the children that they do have.
right.
I think what is gonna happen now is you're gonna see more baby and more. I hate to say this, but more fetuses in trash cans. You're gonna see more fetuses popping up, but not fetuses, but babies popping up at churches if they still allowed to do that, or
Yeah.
just off by themselves. You're gonna see orphanages, like the population in orphanages popping up. I mean, it's not gonna stop the situations that people have going on or the reasons that they seek to have one. It's not gonna stop that.
And statistics say that, and great point. Most of the people that seek a termination already have kids. It's
Right.
not necessarily first timers, like in terms of people who have children. It's usually they already have kids in their family, things that are going on that they think economically or otherwise, physically speaking, will prohibit them from bringing another child into the world. There's also this argument that we often hear, guys, and I want to big up Mandrell and Shushu for helping me unpack this very heavy subject. I'm going to drop the link just now, but hit the like button, y'all. Get the likes up, please. There's this idea that people are pro-life and want to make you have the baby, and that telling you through the government that you have to, and then when the baby gets here, there are a lack of resources to support the child
Right.
that you couldn't afford to have on your
Right.
own. What do you guys say to that argument?
You know what? And speaking of the government, like having people putting women in positions where now they have to have these kids. Let's talk about the whole hypocritical situation of like these politicians who knock up their side chicks, and their side chicks can have one. Their side chicks can terminate their pregnancy.
Oh, they're gonna find a way.
All the women, other women out here have to have theirs. It's not gonna stop people from doing what they do, bottom line.
Yeah.
And you know, I've heard the argument too, oh, it's gonna force women to have to, you know, be more responsible. I mean, people are gonna keep being people. You're not gonna change that. But I mean, the bottom line is, I mean, I don't know. I think they made a mistake by doing this.
Well, what would you say, Mandrell?
Well, as far as it making things worse, I don't know that it will, but it certainly can. Because you know, there aren't enough jobs to go around for the people we do have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's be honest. You got grown people in their late 30s working fast food. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, they're working 2 and 3 part-time jobs, you know,
Right.
and when it comes to putting kids up for adoption, it's like I was trying to say earlier. Have you all actually looked into how these foster care systems work and what goes on there? It's not good. You know,
a lot of abuse and a lot of neglect sometimes within
in
these
the
foster homes.
system.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
don't have again. There are those who speculate that all of our resources are going to be as a country now. I don't know. It doesn't seem to me there's enough support. Child care is prenatal care is very expensive. Depending on where you live, it is also very far. If you're in more rural parts of this country, you don't get to like drive up the street to the doctor. It's miles and miles. That is gas now, as you said, inflation, shoo. That is all kinds of things. So before the child even gets here, prenatal costs oftentimes are very cost prohibitive, depending on the socioeconomics of the mom. Right. This also struck me in terms of, and I'm sorry, non sequitur, I was going to think about the costs after, of course, but this is also a new day for fathers. Because now, depending on your state, again, termination of pregnancy is not federally guaranteed, but it's now a state matter. Each and every state of the 50 United States gets to decide how to handle it. You have states right now, because even though this was a case brought by the Mississippi, for example, like I said, Florida has now a 15-week window. You have some states with a 6-week window. You have some states that make it illegal no matter what. No exceptions. No exception for incest. No exception for rape. No exception for mothers who are mentally challenged, because that happens a lot too. In our mental care facilities, people get abused there.
Right. Yeah.
The age of the person seeking it, all those things. There are so many different, like, I think sometimes we get, dare I say, whitewashed of the realities, horrible realities for some people's lives. Because there are so many people that go through very, very despicable circumstances through no fault of their own. And I think sometimes we don't really think of those people. We think of the average person that we know, or the average person that's like us.
Right.
But in a country of 330 plus million, you got good and you got really bad. You have light and you have really dark. And so I think sometimes because most people in America think of themselves as middle class, we sometimes don't think of the very, very difficult circumstances that some people get thrown into in terms of their own lives. So I think sometimes when we think about the extremes, it's like, well, the average person just needs to stop having sex. The average person just needs to keep it in their pants.
Right. And that's why I honestly, I feel like it should be up to the person, like the mother or who is ever in the situation, because every situation is different. You can't say that, okay, you can't treat it as though it's just one big, like, universal, thing as oh, every child should, come through no matter what. I mean, if the child's coming through to like horrible, despicable, like circumstances, you got to think about the quality of that life that they're gonna have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if the child is being, developing with like severe birth defects, I mean, what kind of quality of life is that gonna be?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's cruel.
No, I think about also, you brought up a good point, Shushu. Easy Gospel Piano Lessons, Big Up Yourself says, I'm single and work for the state. I have 2 part-time jobs and I do my side job as a media consultant and I can't afford anything else. Listen, this is a big change for men as well, because I think about, again, putting people on child support and all of a sudden now there is a mandate, right? And again, the state told you have to have this child. And again, I'm trying to play devil's advocate. If the state tells you have to have the child, both of your lives are impacted, not just the woman's, right? And now the future of the child as well. It's a very interesting concept. But yeah, I think about IVF and a lot of people who have struggled with getting pregnant. You have different rounds. And sometimes it doesn't take. And sometimes I'm like, how are they going to investigate?
Even with adoption, it's not as easy as people.
Yeah, it's expensive to adopt children. You gotta have bread.
Right.
You gotta have bread to get a child.
Right.
It's not. There's so many things that I think people are like, oh, it's just gonna be, they're gonna use alternatives. I think I saw a comment in the chat. Leave your feedback. I'm gonna drop the link because I want to hear what you guys want to or have to say. Join the conversation. You can come up by clicking on the link I'm just gonna put. Join the conversation here. I want to thank Mandrel and Shushu for coming. I won't say Susu because people call me Susu. Shushu, brother and sister duo. You'll catch them on, was it Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Over on Black Man Unfiltered's channel, and they're helping me out today with a very serious discussion on what just happened in the United States 24 hours ago, around a little bit more, 26 hours ago, 10 a.m.-ish, East Coast time. The Supreme Court of the United States completely turned, and there's a term I want to use, and I don't want to get this into like too much of a law school class, but stare decisis. I'm going to type it up. Stare decisis is a concept of precedence in our country, meaning we rely on what prior decisions, and I'll just put the word up, y'all can Google it later, said. I hope I'm spelling it right, decisis. I think I'm spelling it right. But this is there's no more reliance on precedence. It's like whatever you think. Hey, Reese, it's good to see you in the back. If you want to join the conversation again, you can come up. Whatever you think today. Now they're comparing it to like Plessy v. Ferguson, when separate but equal was the law of the land, and then all of a sudden they had to change it through Brown v. Board. That Brown v. Board now showed that the separate but equal was wrong. So there are times in history that do allow for like to stand by things decided, is what it means in Latin. But yeah, this concept has always been taught. That was like the first thing we learned in law school, that we don't change things that are already decided. So you will see this. I don't even understand how they're going to teach this now in law school, that case precedents, things that were decided before, remain. Now, again, there's so many other examples like Plessy v. Ferguson. when separate but equal, basically. I'm sorry, I'm talking again about cases, but that was a case that said a gentleman from Louisiana who tried to go sit in a train car that was for white only. He was of mixed race, kind of like y'all, coming from Louisiana area, Creole, if you will, and he tried this case all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they said, no, you don't have to, black person of color, sit with the white people, as long as the combinations are separate but equal.
Yeah.
So that was the law of the land. Supreme Court got it wrong. Law of the land. That's how we got deep segregation across our country, right? American version of apartheid.
Right.
And they flipped it. They finally got it right in reversing that in the decision of Brown v. Board in the 1960s. So there is an argument being made, well, there have been times that we got it wrong. This was one of them. What do you guys think in terms of saying that this was basically a reversal of something that should have never been given in the first place? What do you think?
Well, for instance, if you take the separate but equal case, right? What it would have made sense if we actually were separate but equal. But at what point in time in America
no
was
equality
and equal at the same time?
None.
You know what I mean? There was nothing equal about the separation. You know? Yeah. So this one, I'm with you. I am curious as to how they're going to teach this now. I'm really interested in how they're going to do that. Established law, they just flat out changed it for no reason. You know, no good reason. Again, this is something that they wanted to do for a long time, and they've been stacking the Supreme Court in their favor, you know, for a long time now.
Absolutely.
Trump got three picks.
Listen, he's taking credit for it. We're talking about my body, my choice, or is
That's
it?
Right.
That's why I made the title kind of ironic, because it ain't your body, your choice. Oh, you're welcome.
Right.
Now the state is going to tell you.
Only thing people are going to do now is go to a state if they can afford it.
If they can afford to.
If they can afford it, go to another state where abortion is legal, termination is legal.
Yes.
And get it done there. That's all they got to do. Like I said, it's not something I would choose for me, but this
is my thing. Why take someone else's right away? If you don't want it, don't get it. You don't have to get it.
Right.
It's the thing is they don't want it for anyone else. But I think that there's my problem. TTO, I'm going to read some of the chat. Bring up Reese, the Dragon from Philly. TTO says, I think it should be left up to the women, but this doesn't make people get pregnant or equal poverty. It's many people that have never had a termination. This is where I take issue with you, TTO. The world has functioned for centuries without it. Where you been? No, from ancient Egypt, they've been terminating pregnancy.
Right.
There are a whole ancient texts about what to use in the hoo-ha to make sure things don't germinate. Let me just put it like this.
Right.
So this is I would go the very opposite of what you just said here. It has always been there.
Right.
In every culture. Right. In every culture around the world.
People just don't know that, Suzette.
People don't talk about it.
You're right.
Yeah, that is not true in my opinion.
Right. My thing with it also is that, okay, it takes, to my understanding, depending on where you go, it takes anywhere from several $100s to about $1,500. Some places $2,500 to get a termination done, right?
Yeah.
Some places, again, a couple $100, it's done. Oh, but Plan B or the morning after pill is $40 at
that's
Walmart
the next
pharmacy.
Thing that's coming in the crosshairs, though.
They gonna come after
that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like,
this is the thing. They gonna come after that next.
Here's the thing.
They gonna come after that.
Give me a second. Here's why that's an asinine idea. All you have to do is take 3. If you're on birth control, take 3 birth control pills the next day. The following day, take 2 birth control pills. Same effect, because that's literally all Plan B is, or the morning after pill is.
Okay, we're not giving medical advice here.
Right.
I'm just saying, if you at home and they do take it away.
Don't tell nobody that, because if somebody go out and do
that, we're gonna leave it to the medical professionals. Hit the like button. But I understand your point.
I'm just saying that's all it is.
Bring Reese in the conversation. Demons Creative, how are you? Good morning. Happy Saturday. Is that whitewashed? Because white people, okay, the term whitewash, the way I use it there, I mean in terms of like covered over. I don't mean it in terms of literally white people. But I understand, yes, white people do go through the same thing. They seek abortions out. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. That we all go through the same. Yes, that's not what I meant. I meant whitewash as in a cover over. cover over is how I was using it. Red 5 Golf says, ask yourself why most Planned Parenthood facilities are in low income, predominantly Black communities. I can answer this in a couple ways. Also, read up on what the founders of Planned Parenthood said about placing those facilities in those communities. Why do
Oh
you
yeah,
think most Planned
we knew
Parenthoods are
about that.
in a lot of low income areas?
Well,
I have the
because
answer to that.
Oh,
because
Reese,
when it
go
first
ahead,
started,
Mandrell, and then Reese, go ahead.
yeah, when it first started, it was about making African American women sterile. Okay, that's honestly what it was about. You know what I mean? So that's why they put them in low income areas to make it convenient for women to be able to walk there. And while it was advertised as something beneficial to African American women, advertised as something that, hey, you're gonna want this. This is gonna help you. We're here for women's health, your health, and we're gonna help you out. Kind of find out they were sterilizing these women. You know what I mean? So it's in low income areas to make it convenient for low income people. And yeah, that's what it started out as something, a place where African American women would go unknowingly being made sterile.
Reese, thank you, Mandrell. Reese, what would you like to add? Hit the like button, y'all.
He basically reached inside of my head and pulled my answer out.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
But all of that is actually a part of eugenics. The phrase eugenics was coined by Margaret Sanger and the
Yep.
people that started Planned Parenthood. Now, with this Roe versus Wade thing, this is a sensitive topic for men to be talking about anywhere you go. And I think that's unfair because, like it or not, men are the givers of life. I've been hearing my entire life, half a century, that women are the givers of life and blah, 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 blah. But in all actuality and scientific fact, there is something living inside of me already. A sperm cell is alive. It's a living, breathing, swimming creature with a spine, a heartbeat. It's alive, experiencing existence. An egg is a house. Okay? It's nothing until the sperm is put into it. Nothing. There's no life there at all. It's just a cell. You know what I mean? A sperm is a living creature. So men are the givers of life. So I think we should have a say-so when it comes into determining which life should be and which one shouldn't. This topic is going to be argued for thousands of years. And the reason why is because it's evidence of one of God's mistakes. He's not perfect. Okay? He's blessed women with the divine lie. You can tell the world who the father of your child is, no matter who it is. And no one will ever know the truth except you. Not even the men being accused or the man not being accused. No one will ever know except you and God. That is a divine lie that all women hold. And there's nothing men can do about it. So I think they have a voice in this conversation, man. Now, you got to be careful when you jump into the Roe versus Wade conversation, because women, the thing you hear the most is, men want to make decisions on women's bodies. You see what I'm
Reese,
saying?
can I stop you for a
Yes, you
second
can.
just to ask
Yes,
you
you
a
can.
question about that divine lie? Because I don't think God told nobody to lie about who they baby fathers was. I think
No,
that's
that's a joke.
human
That's a
trait.
joke. That's me being silly.
I was like, but Jesus ain't tell you to lie about okay.
No,
Sorry.
that's me being silly. I just mean like,
Facetious. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I was on my bad. Slow. Okay, this is SuzetteSpeaks show. Reese is giving us his ideas on and opinions on why this has become such a complex issue and how it will always be with us. My body, my choice. Again, it's not your body, your choice. As of yesterday, the end of Roe v. Wade is upon us. The Supreme Court has reversed a 50-year-old precedent that had guaranteed a federally guaranteed constitutional right due to right to privacy, all kinds of implied rights. But the Supreme Court now, in a 6-3 majority, said no more, no more.
Wow.
As of yesterday, we woke up with one right, ladies, and we went to bed with a right, or what we thought was a right, and woke up with that right removed. So this is a huge, huge shift. I'm gonna read a couple of comments, and I'm gonna let you finish, Reese. Thank you, everyone in the chat. I see so many comments. You know I'm always behind, so please forgive me if I'm a little bit behind. Tired of y'all says, I would go with the funding of the country. Maybe the laws of the country are supposed to be based on freedom, including religion and separation of church and state. Thank you. TTOO said, bottom line, the strong survive. The strong going to do what they have to do to succeed, whether or not they're having sexual relations, any of those things happen on, they're going to survive. 70K on average, I think you're saying. Thank you. Low birth rates, lack of production, and not enough worker bees. That's what I was getting at in my earlier point. Thank you, Kenarda. Not enough worker bees. Very, very big part of this. This is getting completely missed. I hear you. So there are people that think, I don't want to call it the Illuminati, that there are parts of the government, parts of our social, what should I say, construct via political leadership that wants more people that can simply help support the economy, that wants people who are not necessarily going to be raised in the best circumstances, who are going to be low wage workers for the future. That's what some people who are maybe more on the conspiracy side of it, conspiracy theory side of it, think that this is a decision so that the United States has enough new folks to be a part of the economy, not about freedom, not about anything that they're saying morally we should be doing. It's really about economic preservation of the social order, which is a very high upper class, middle class, small, and a big lower and impoverished class of people. That's what there are some arguments in favor of. The TT says the creative excuses to delete babies is very shocking, not the small minority. Let me also comment on that. There are a lot of people who have to make this decision, and I've talked to a couple just anecdotally. It is not an easy decision to make. This is not like a skip to the office and high five all the way through the door and go, yay, let's make a party. No, I think this is something that is like an excruciating decision for many people. And I don't think people take it lightly. I think some of that, I don't know, from my experience and my personal anecdotal experience, all right? Tired of y'all says, I'm not an atheist, but I don't understand how we have such a selective memory of actual history of this country. Red 5 says, it's a good thing that SCOTUS did this. All right, do some quick research and come back. Thank you, the last good man in Jersey. Y'all welcome to come up on the panel. Hey, Freelance HD says, there's a large segment of the nation that believes it shouldn't have been legalized in the first place. I don't know if they're large or loud. Sometimes the loudest people are not necessarily the majority. Large is relative, because when anytime polled, 70% of both Americans at large, depending on how you ask the question, I should say. Let me take that back. Depending on how you ask the question, but on average, 70% of the country says that Roe v. Wade should remain as the law of the land. 70%, depending on how you ask the question. So I don't know if they are large or just loud. Hey, Mona D, nice to see you, dear. Last good man in Jersey, I see you. Can you flash your face, Taipan? And Chaos Rain, long time no see. Get the likes up. We're only at 50 likes. Chaos Rain, can you flash your face? Taipan, can you flash your face? You don't have to show it on camera itself. But I just need to know that you are not a machine. I didn't see nothing, Chaos Rain. Do it again, please. All right, tired of y'all say, oh, I see you. Thank you. Taipan, if you would. Thank you, Chaos Rain. I'm going to bring y'all up. Reese, I'm going to allow you to finish your point. Thank you. Men will never understand a woman's fight. Leave it up to a woman's choice. That's a little opposite of what Reese is saying. Reese said you got life intrinsically through men. Taipan, thank you again for your gift. Says, respectfully, many Black people are speaking like Margaret Sanger herself. Woo, eugenics. Those 30 million procedures would have been net harm to society. Whoa. Interesting. All right. Reese, I interrupted you. Go ahead and finish your point that men have life and should be involved in the decision making, that women be out here lying about who is their father of their child. And anyway, continue your thought. Sorry to interrupt it there, but I wanted to get some of the chat in.
You know what? I pride myself on my intellect, my recognition and awareness. And I can't pull the right or wrong out of this. And I've looked at it real deeply. I just can't do it. There's a hole in this Roe versus Wade thing, in this whole situation. Mankind should have never gotten to this point, in my opinion. But here we are, all right? Mm-hmm. And this is something we're going to talk about for the next 1,000 years. And honestly, I got to be honest with you, Suzette. I can't figure this one out. I don't know
As in,
who's
you see
wrong or
both
who's
sides
right.
of the coin, that there are parts of you that say women should be able to do this and parts of you that say this should not exist that way.
Right, because there's a hole in this whole situation. I described it when I first started, when I made the joke about God. Like that leaves an emptiness in this situation that we will never be able to fill. It's just one of those things. You know what I mean? And you know, most of the women are talking about the rare occasion of rape when a child is produced. According-
Grape. Yep.
Grape.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's okay. I know what you
But
mean. It's all right, brother.
you got to remember, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
And,
okay. It's okay. The
yeah,
last
of course,
man
that
in Jersey-
situation, that's unfortunate.
Wait, it's not
right?
rare. Is it rare?
In that situation where a child is produced, yes, that is very, very rare. How many of those grapes turn up a child?
Let me bring back the panel. Hold on, Reese.
No,
Reese.
it's
The
not.
heads are shaking. Let me bring the last good man in Jersey. What's
Suzette,
up?
how are you doing?
How you doing?
Good. It's nice to finally
Can I get
meet
any
you in
kind of
person.
feedback? Yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing you. I see you
Yeah.
so much into my chat, lighting it up. Good to meet you.
You have a conversation. I like that. So it's fun to
Yay.
participate.
Suzette, I
I'll
have
bring
to
you up in
talk
just a
about this,
second.
man.
I don't know about that. Well, just on that fact or that position that Reese brought up, that grapes don't necessarily or very rarely end up in pregnancy. Anyone want to comment on that?
That's absolutely not true. That's something that happens every day.
Right.
Believe it or not.
Right.
I can't even argue
Every
that.
day.
I can't even argue with the
It's a
brother
lot.
because I could be
don't
wrong.
know. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't have my
let me,
statistics ready, but I don't know about that, Reese.
It's
I wanna-
one of those things.
And most of the abortions that I know about.
Because I just want to
Hold on, termination, Reese. 1 second. Go ahead, last good man in Jersey.
Sorry.
I want to tackle an idea that kind of jumps, and then I want to kind of come back to the conversation.
Okay.
There's a lot that we can talk about whether the decision that was made was right or wrong. But if we kind of get away from the decision and we focus on abortion itself, and start
Termination.
to talk about
Termination. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Well, you're the lawyer. I'm not. So
Yeah, we don't
I'm
say
gonna
because of
throw my,
YouTube. Sorry. Yes.
street slang in here.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled up some data that I found interesting. It's from Guttemacher Institute, which is actually a pro-life group, which means, they should be biased more towards pro-life, pro-choice. And what was interesting to look at there was when you look at abortion rates, termination rates.
Yes, I got you. Yeah.
Most terminations are really just terminations of convenience. So we're not
What does that
talking
mean?
about
What
a
does that
scenario
mean?
where there's an issue and someone doesn't want to have a child that's born with problems or born.
That's a loaded question. I think we have a little bit of a delay because termination of convenience, that is a very broad term. And that to me does indicate something that is written by pro-life. Convenience of what? That's
Sure.
such a broad...
That's where I was going with it.
For whatever reason, it means that for whatever reason,
I can't afford a baby. That's convenience?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is
Right.
actually. That is under the category of convenience.
I don't like the wording.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Convenience
I
is my
I
term.
don't like it either, but
Convenience?
a
that's the
thought-stirring
category they
term,
put it under.
but also
My
designed
child
to
is going to
really-
have a medical something. Their brain didn't come in this brain stem.
I told
And
you,
they're
man, gotta
going to
be
be a
careful.
vegetable their whole life. That's
Let's
gotta
be
be
more
convenience?
careful.
specific to see, and hopefully I'm not lagging, but let's talk about ideas. So
Okay, go ahead.
from this study, percent of abortions that are coming from victims of rape, less than 1%.
Hey,
Fetal health
Something else
problems.
we have to consider.
This is
Women
a pro-life.
who are-
You got to
women
give
who
me
are-
drop the link where you looking at this at so I can look at it.
You got a
All right.
lot of times women who are victims of rape.
Mhm.
A lot of times they don't come forward and admit to it because of shame and because of a lot of different things.
And they keep secrets in the
And they keep
family.
secrets in the family.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the percentage of rape that goes on that's actually reported versus that actually happens is inaccurate.
And
So a lot of women don't
I can
To add on
concede
to
that,
that,
but
well,
hypothetically,
Hold on a
if
second.
10
To add on
times
to
as many
that,
were raped, that's still 5%.
but here's the thing: states are not required to report why or how many terminations they're doing.
Mhm.
They could do 2 million in a year, but they only report 10, and that's perfectly fine and legal. They're not required to actually give accurate information.
And private
That's-
practitioners do not have to report their stats.
But all of
Public-
that assumes that there would be
public-
bias in the reporting.
Any facility that's funded like by the government or by the state, they have to report their numbers, which is probably where they got those numbers from. But private practitioners don't have to report their status, which is why the narrative looks like it's more Black women or more,
women of color,
women of
Yeah.
color who are
That's getting it
getting,
because those are the people who are public
yeah,
facilities.
but
I'm gonna just
private
jump in.
practitioners don't have to report.
And then when you look at the CDC's numbers,
Yeah.
it shows that more white women get terminations than Black women. And so that's when this whole thing kind of
So
comes.
yeah, there's
I'm not
a
even
lot of
tackling the
discrepancy.
racial component of this.
Oh yeah,
Right.
even if you're
Directly
No,
focusing
it
on-
is yeah. The racial component is not what we're here to discuss. I'm
Right.
just going to throw in this fact. Chemo C says Planned Parenthood was started actually in the white community. His words. It was invited in the Black community by W.B. Du Bois et al., who believed in quality versus quantity. Quality, yikes, versus quantity. Is this true? Also, 85% of people who use them are non-Black. I have to do my research on this. Thank you, Chemo, for adding. But go ahead, Alaska Man in Jersey. Finish your point.
So, if we assume that the numbers generally hold true, okay, and I'm not sure why I keep getting this feedback, then it begs the question, are we talking about divorce? I keep doing that. Are we talking about abortion because of its merits, or are we just talking about it because I want to have the right to make whatever decision I want whenever I want? Those are different things. Apologies for the feedback. It's my first time.
No, you're fine. I'm
live,
processing
so
what you're saying. You're good. You're good.
something
Again,
weird.
I just don't think the second half of how what you said is framed is how it actually goes down. I don't think, because it's what I want to do, like a high five. I'm looking at people who might have a little bit more desperation or much more, what should I say, just situational challenges where it's not a casual, willy-nilly, only because I have the right, I want to type of decision. I don't buy that characterization just based on experiences where I've seen people who I've personally counseled when it's like tears and crying, my mom gonna put me out. Oh my gosh, I don't have a job. I barely can finish this school. I'm in the middle of this. Like, those are the circumstances. I personally, I can't say that's every, the statistics reflect what I've lived, but that's not like when I'm sitting down talking to a student or whoever, it's not like oh, I'm gonna do this because I can. Thank y'all. High five. I'm going back to party. Like, it's not
a form of birth control.
I don't doubt
Not that.
that. I would wonder. I guess there are two things that I would wonder. One is I wonder the situations that are leading people to you, because that may not be fully reflective of the universe.
Yeah, no, I'm dealing with at-risk populations when I was talking to these young ladies. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the other part is,
welcome, Andrew.
I can acknowledge that stats could be off. They may not be perfect, but they're at least a good starting point. And the starting point stats are suggesting, hey, a lot of these abortions are women saying, I don't really want to have a kid right now. It's not that I can't. It's not that there's some horrid situation. It's just an inconvenience for me. Now, I was mentioning jumping
take
around.
a deep breath, trigger.
Oh yeah,
I don't know that that's true. I'm gonna let you say your point, but I don't know that that's true.
And
finish your point.
That's part of why I wanted to start there and come back.
Okay.
So the original point is federal versus a state decision. Okay. I think that this is the right way to do it, specifically because of the inability of people to agree. I don't think there should be a unilateral decision about abortion. I think state by state, just like other
termination,
controversial issues, divorce. I was doing something else on divorce. So divorce, abortion, termination. I think states should make those decisions based on what their audiences think is right.
So there's some pushback. They said Chemo was wrong. Taipan, thank you. Says Chemo, I've seen that propaganda. They take Margaret Sanger well-documented statements and then they show them to Black feminists, LOL. So Margaret Sanger was very much openly racist.
Oh yeah.
Was into eugenics. Like, there is a lot about her, the founder of Planned Parenthood. Do your research, guys, and look up Margaret Sanger. Yeah, it wasn't because they were trying to help black people.
No.
I think it was tidying up the country. God forbid.
Margaret Sanger is Hitler times 10.
Yeah,
10
there
times
was a
Hitler.
lot, and that's the founder of Planned Parenthood. Now, and I knew a guy who worked for Planned Parenthood. Was like, now we provide medical services to at-risk and low-income people. I'm like, that's the history. Makes me very uncomfortable. But people are saying that that's a true statement. People in low-income areas have less access to good health care. So I don't know if they've changed. I'm not going to argue for or against Planned Parenthood. But yeah, this is it's gonna stay sticky. Let me get Chaos Rain. He's been waiting to give his opinion. Hi, Chaos Rain. How are you? Are you ready? I don't know if he's there now.
Hold on.
Oh, how are you?
Hold on.
All right. What are your thoughts on the? You said hold on.
No, because something happened. My phone's delaying for some reason. It's
All right. Give us your
pressing
opinion
me
on the topic
mute
today,
button.
darling.
No. Well, one thing I'd ask you, Suzette, what emotions you're going through since yesterday's decision? 'Cause I try to have women to come up to ask this because as men, it's different from women in regards to this decision. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So the real deal for me, my text started blowing up. I had a meeting at 11, so I couldn't adequately get where I was going in the text chats. Like I had cousins groups, friend groups. Everybody was like, these SOBs, basically. These people without fathers. You know understand what I'm saying? These, like, it was just like in the text messages. I got one phone call in before 11 to my homegirl who is a university professor. And I was like, honey, do we have law anymore? What do we have? There's no stare decisis. You got people that can literally make this a slippery slope. What they coming for next is to me, personal choice, privacy rights, comes with contraception next. The same morning after is not guaranteed.
Yeah,
I got very nervous. I'm thinking about.
So that they're gonna start take away that now, the contraception for women.
Well, it leaves the door
Since this
open.
ruling?
It leaves the door open because this was.
So that means men can't get condoms no more.
Remember, pardon me.
The men can't get condoms no more. But
I don't know about that. This is where I'm saying the door is wide open for what they can say is no longer a guaranteed right federally. So in my head, I was like, bruh, they're going to send me back to Jamaica, bro. What they going to do? Why can't they just stand up tomorrow and say, nope, we were wrong. This is no longer what we meant or what was supposed to happen under the Constitution as written. So I thought it was very upsetting. I called my homegirl, got my one little phone call in, talked to her as a professor. She was like, oh no, they're going to try to completely take away every loophole because several of these trigger states, there is no exception for life of the mother. There is no exception for rape and incest. There is no exception for mental health of the mother and those things. Are
these states Bible Belt?
Children. Pardon?
Are these states the 13 or whatever 9 states that was highlighted Bible Belt?
No, it's not the Bible Belt necessarily. It's Midwest too. Midwest too. So you have to go across state line. We have a patchwork. You have to go across state lines. Now those clinics and stuff going to be pressured because people still going to need terminations medically and quote convenience. I hate that term, but medically and otherwise. So if I'm getting IVF, if I'm getting this, and this turns out that this, fetus is non-viable, what's up? My doctor can't say, listen, you have a 99% chance of not making it through. It's going to take your life. We're going to have to take the baby. Those decisions can't be made anymore. This is now I'm going to die.
Well,
and Black women already have a higher mortality rate when it comes to giving birth. It's a trauma to the body. And if you're telling me I can't make a medically viable assessment through a doctor that knows, oh, no, we're going to have to take this to save your life. No, that's not for the government to tell me. No, that's how I feel, especially in those specific instances, which happen much more often than we think. It's like babies just come. No, it is a trauma to the body. It is the African proverb says you are never more closer to death than when you about to have a child. It is it's a huge deal to your body. And you gonna tell me if I'm a 14-year-old, if I'm a 12-year-old, I must have this baby?
Right.
So
Wait, let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this, Suzette. I'm not sure when you said about Jamaica. You're saying that you're first. Hold on. You're first. So I take you're not first generation American. You were actually
I
born
was
in
born in
Jamaica.
Jamaica, raised here.
Okay. I'm not sure how they deal with the get rid of babies in Jamaica per se. They still do it or not? Because Jamaica's a Christian country nonetheless. But my thing is
this. I can't cry if I have to do what I have to do. But what's your
point?
But
my thing is this. I read the CNN article about this, about the incest and the other thing, right? And one thing that I've come across, because they said they'll do it regardless if you fall under those two categories, which people keep pushing, which is only 1% of anything. That this is Western culture. They're known for this behavior. That's why when they include that, they don't care, because it's known fact that people marry in families. That's secret that we don't know about.
Oh, you can petition to marry your cousin in the U.S.
Yeah. So when people talk about these things that I know, but people don't really pay attention to that, saying that this is their thing. So when I read that fine print in the same article, I did a stream on this yesterday, that is evident, whatever situation you are, if you get, let's say, not either by your consent or not, that they want the babies, they want the bodies. And certain states are heavily going to be regulated, said, we're going to do it by any means necessary. And when I look at the history of the Roe v. Wade, now that I really look into it now, because, when we look at these laws, we don't really look into why they have it, what was the purpose, until now when things are overturned and we go back a moment of time. And I say, this was all created because they used us as people as a scapegoat. And I'm not going to detail that because, it's going to lead to some other rabbit holes, to push this as a reality back in 49 years ago. So now that we're at a point now where they have to now move forward and said, this thing costs money. And I tell people everything ties with money. They will not push back any laws unless they can still afford it. If they can't afford it, they're going to say,
So you're saying there's a bigger mission at play. I disagree with you, infantry.
Well, it's the mission would be is this. They're not going to keep importing people like that, like they used to, because that costs money. So they said we got to have one that's in house, and not only that, not only need the bias, but it's like this: it saves them money, and it has to make people really make some harsh decisions. Now let's be honest: people are going to still get rid of the babies by any means necessary. If they have to travel 7 hours, or they might have to move to the states where it is not a problem until the next couple weeks. Because now they already made a decision. Regardless of how this overturned, they're going to go for it anyway. That tells you they already made a conscious decision that we're going to do this, regardless of what decision make. And people didn't really read that part. So it tells me that.
I hear you.
So we got to look at the states now. If women are concerned, if they want to use their pum pum as whatever they want to call it.
Yeah. All right.
And I'm saying that loosely because personally, but obviously at the end of the day, if women are doing that and they have done
men helping them,
they go out to do two things. Either you're gonna be very, I like to say, is selective, which I don't know what that is, or the absence, or you have to go to those states that say they'll still grant it. But if you're gonna play this game, if they're gonna play this game now in this climate, I say you're gonna possibly be in jail and prison if you try. And certain states are very strict, like in Texas. I heard from the other brother that if, let's say, you knocked up this woman and she went somewhere else to get rid of the baby, right? He could file charges and get his so-called baby mama, whoever, locked up for that. You get me?
Yeah, I'm
So,
gonna pause you. Can I
yeah,
pause you? Can I pause you? Because there's so much
great.
going on in the chat that I want to respond to that I think is wrong.
Wow, look
But
at that
I'm going to read a
comment.
couple of chats, if I may. I'll come back to you, KS Rain. Sorry to interrupt. Tiana, good to see you from Canada. I don't believe in termination as a means of birth control. They keep getting pregnant and aborting. Otherwise, that's your business. What I hate, though, is folks having all these kids and they are not able to care and support for them. Later on, these same kids, no skills profession, turn to crime to survive, or so many kids are contributing, caring dad not in their lives. Sometimes I wonder if these kids would have been better off not born. My spouse and I have one not yet 2 years old, and we are both, and I don't know what the ending says. Interesting. There are so many ways to look at this. Yes, people do die during childbirth. A lot of people do. Especially in countries that are not as medically advanced as the United States. Sorry to bust that bubble because there are so many people. I think even when I look at child mortality, that just assumes because you're pregnant, you're going to have a baby. It doesn't work that way. A lot of children pass. A lot of people don't get to meet their child. There's so much more medically. I think I might have to have a doctor next time because there's all this, I think, misinformation about, oh, don't be afraid to have children or don't do that because it's natural to your body. Everybody's instrument is different. This is the thing. Your cervix could be small. There's so many things. You could have fibroids in your womb while the baby is there. I have had cousins who got pregnant with big old fibroids. Thank God the baby survived. Like, it's not this A plus B equals C. I'm just like, that's not the way it is. Andrew, I want to get you involved. What are your thoughts today, Andrew? Go ahead.
Well, I have a few. In my opinion, the Supreme Court justices all lied, especially the new ones, about what their decision would be. That's my biggest issue. One of my big issues. Number two, most of the country is female. So a decision was made that went against the majority of the country. Wow. That's just it. And it really affects one particular sex. That's just plain wrong. Number three, as a man, there's collateral damage. There's now more opportunities for me to get accused of being a child's father and being obligated to pay on it. My thing, I'm looking at my wallet. You know what? Let's forget about the ethics, because there's states where it says if you're married to someone and they cheat on you, you're responsible for the baby. Even if you marry someone that has children, in some cases you're responsible for the children. It just looks like another bill.
Oh no, there's a presumption of fatherhood.
Yes.
Once you're married, any child that come out that woman during that marriage is presumed to be your baby. You need to go
that's the issue now. Now that turns people off of marriage. That's another thing altogether.
But it's supposed to be your baby. It's supposed to be your baby.
Supposed to. I don't like the word supposed to. That means I need to wait before I initiate a contract. That's just me now. That's the new thing. You should look.
Assume that is your son or daughter in a marriage.
It not always is.
These days, have you seen how many things are coming out there? I blame social media, because y'all guys are telling us these things, showing us these videos. Like, wow, people getting caught out there for 30, 40 years.
Even if you aren't married, if she puts your name on the birth
certificate,
guess what? She could come after you for child support. Like,
They're paying child support for babies, and they never even had sex with the woman.
Oh, come on. You deserve something for it.
Crazy?
And the thing is, I was amazed at how many guys that were out there like that. They never had sex with these women, and yet they're being made to pay child support for these children. And I was amazed at how many. It's thousands of them.
Wow.
I didn't know this is a thing like that. And I was like,
well, hold on. We don't want to get too off track, but yes, we might have
my other question is,
Andrew was making some good points. Finish up your points, Andrew.
Yeah, but my thing is, and with you saying this, oh man, I almost lost my point now. Don't you feel that men should get more protections since they reversed the law this way? Because look at this, we're open to liability more.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
You mean this? No. Let me tell you what's going to happen. I talked to other men. They're going to apply more pressure. Matter of fact, they might start raising the price on child support or any form of thing now.
No. Let me tell you this real quick.
No. It is coming. Whatever they do with women, they're going to even heavily penalize the men. Watch and see. I talked to a man, and it's coming. Don't think because they're not really looking. They are going to.
Miss Linda know what she's talking about here. You mean to tell me I woke up 40, 50 years early and I have to relive the trauma of my friends and family and associates' deaths by those ruthless iodine pills, iron metal clothes hanger termination. This was real. Miss Linda, if you want to talk about it, come through, because we don't know a world that existed. Many of us born in these last 2 generations don't know this side of it. But thank you for sharing that, Miss Linda.
One last point though. I gotta ask. Do you feel that there should be a mandatory paternity test before a birth certificate is signed and a formal commitment is made to the child these days? If you're gonna open up that gateway, you have to protect the men, because guess what? We're not gonna eat crap anymore. You know what I mean? When these, you know, if here it is, if a person chooses to continue with the with giving
no, not choose. The government tell you.
No, hear me out.
They tell you. Yep, they tell you. Yep.
Let me finish. If they so do so, and I say I don't want to deal with it, that means I should not be obligated to do it then. The state will take care of it then, and let the woman and let the person that's having it then. Here's my problem: you can't just stick it on a guy, because if it's the wrong guy, what happens? I don't hear anyone compensation or reverse.
Family values. Come up on this link and explain yourself. Please. Join the conversation, family.
Let me ask the gentleman a question. I'm sorry. Do you really think that they should make a law or state or mandate for testing to make sure you're the father? Can you just ask someone that say that you're the father to really ask her, I want to test?
Wow.
Directly?
You know how many families gonna get destroyed, bro?
Well, thank you for answering that. I'm gonna answer that. I'm gonna tell you, I don't give a crap.
Just kidding.
Let me tell you why I don't give a crap. Here's why. And because what we understand now, when they talk about this thing about cheating and nonsense, that women are almost up there as cheating. Especially it's worse in Jamaica, regardless of attorney fraud. So if you think in your heart, if you think in your heart it's a necessity that you might not, and they say it might break up, it might hurt you, you better have to take that risk. You should not wait till law step in and say, I need to do. No, if that's cowardly. And the woman will know you coward, because you're not going to really question it. So it's better off you be up front and say, oh, is my weight good? Let's get a DNA test. I'd rather take the consequence than sit there. No, listen, it's going to be worse.
Because we're veering pretty far off the topic.
15 years later, but you already fit in the bill. You can't walk out of that.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Make the decision.
Black man in Jersey.
Another triggering statement.
Go ahead.
But comment was made about how this is worse for men, and I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Now, I won't argue the morality of it or not, but I think that this levels the playing field a bit, because I don't feel the old way was as beneficial to men. I felt like we were really left holding the bag no matter what. If a woman gets pregnant, we want a kid and she doesn't, we have no voice. We don't want a kid and she does, we have no voice. That scenario doesn't exist as, in theory, that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's nope. The decision has been pulled from both of you, not just from the man.
So we still don't have a voice.
But now we don't either. Level playing. Didn't say it was great. Level.
But they
the number, simple math.
Hold on, they can still go to another state and get it done. So we still don't have a voice.
We'll never have a voice, but it's more balanced now than it was before.
Nicole, thank you, says it's not worse for men. How many times can women get pregnant in a year? How many women can men impregnate in a year?
Uh-oh. See where it's going?
Well, if the runway is open, the plane's going to land. That's on you. Close the airport.
That is funny as hell.
The plane land.
Signal the plane. Signal the plane, you know?
There's a Jamaican song. All right, loving the metaphors. Let me read some of this chat. Carly says these are first world problems. Okay. Tired of y'all says you can petition for a paternity test prior to signing a birth certificate, though. The most affected would probably be married men who are presumed to be the father without a test. I hear you. Why my messages keep blocking? I'm not blocking you, but it's okay. Let me see. Men act like some babies about legit child support. Okay. Miss Glow Girl says, as a man, that means you're going to jail if the child neglect if you don't want the unborn child. Yeah, paternity fraud is real. I believe that. Let me see. Infant Streets, y'all can drop the link. Y'all come up. Says, can you see how clever these chicks will come up with ways to justify terminating their babies in the womb, and you guys are dumb enough to sit there and listen to it. Oh my. Okay. Dehana adds, Andrew, if you are in a marriage and you are saying there should be are you saying that in a marriage there should be a requested DNA? If my spouse stepped to me with that within our marriage, he's gone permanently.
Wow.
Well, then I saved me some money then, to be honest with you. And let me keep it 100, then I'm good. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, I am a single parent, and I got custody of my child, and guess what? I did reversal. She had to compensate me, and I made more. So I don't want to hear that rubbish. I did mine. I followed the law correctly.
A lot of men doing that, y'all. A lot of men going
Listen,
for the babies
we're coming up.
and
We're coming up.
Children. Yeah, they're getting smart. They're getting smart.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you know, people, I'm not even talking about child support. It's just about logic. You have to be careful when you initiate laws that are based on a particular set of people. We just got over that. Now you're putting it backwards.
Family values. I don't think who is family values? Can you come up here on this link? Those women need to be in a psychiatric. I don't know. You got to read the history. No, they don't need to be in a psychiatric hospital. They actually, one girl my dad always tells me about was like the valedictorian equivalent in Jamaica of his class. She was like the superstar student and quote, got in trouble with a guy and ended up mutilating herself and passed. Like it is not a psychiatric thing. It's of course, back then it was a very big
social
shame
pressure.
And cloud.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
And here's the thing. I've read a couple of
Yeah,
things.
I'm gonna jump down and come back. I gotta switch device.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
I've read a couple of whatever their gender is, comments, right? And they seem to be very binary on this subject.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of gray here. Like one of the
right.
comments Family Value said was abort. No. There was like adoption. Well, here's the thing. Most kids don't get adopted.
Mhm.
That's one thing. And number two, in that system, depending on what state and city you're in, you look at the conditions, you're like, maybe termination might have been better.
Right.
Because the way these kids live,
and you haven't looked into the process of adopting a child. Because it's not
okay, but let's
going to an agency and be like, hey, I want a child.
No.
This is true, my love.
Let's be
Newborns
fair to
do get
family
adopted
values
more
and
often than
like
other children, but that's not.
Heck yeah.
there's
Newborns-
an important idea behind what family values is saying. And
Go
agree
ahead.
or disagree with it.
Okay.
It's got merit. Like it or not, we live in a Christian country fundamentally. So in terms of most predominant religion, and if you look at a lot of our laws and what they're based on, there's mention of God in them.
Yep.
For a lot of people, life begins at conception. Regardless of what the laws say, the second that heart beats there, that life is there. And they're never going to think, this is okay. That's always going to be murder to them. So we can talk about living in a country.
penalty.
Right.
But that's another person's body.
Oh, there's
that
no
made this document.
I wasn't laughing at you, sir. Sorry. I was laughing at this comment. Enzo says, family values, baby mamas need to be in a psychiatric facility. Single parenting is child abuse. Jesus.
Whoa.
Lord.
Some people are always going to believe that it's murder, and you're never going to get past that. So
that's true. Some people, I agree.
Yeah,
Some
this is
people
what
will
also
see it
I
that
take
way.
issue with that, and I'm a follower of Jesus. Christian country, tell me a Christian law we follow.
We're not a Christian country. We're found by Jesus. We're not found by Christians.
I'm not saying observant.
I worship the Lord of Light.
No, don't kill, don't steal. Those are two. So, yeah.
We're not a Christian country per se. You have to realize
You're
that.
putting your hand on a Bible unless you.
Hey, Suzette, I want to get out of here.
Oh,
Listen.
Okay, make your final point, sir.
Oh, final point. Okay, Roe versus Wade. This conversation is gonna go on forever. You see the comments. You've heard about 5 different, perspectives on it, and it's gonna go on forever. Me, I'm uncomfortable with this whole thing. That's why I'm leaving the panel. It's dangerous to me. But I will tell you this. This whole thing with this decision and the timing of it and all that, this is a social program. This is a psychological program to see how we're going to react to it. It's just piled on with all the other nonsense because they're trying to create as much chaos as possible. So I'm going to take you out of here with Game of Thrones.
Here we go.
Roe versus Wade. It's a story we tell each other over and over until we forget that it's a lie. But what do we have once we abandon the lie? Chaos. A gaping pit waiting to swallow us all. But chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder. And some of us try to climb and fail. We cling to the gods, the realm, or love, illusions. Only the ladder is real. The climb is all there is. The red dragon is out, and I take you out with Axio Sonyo Ilion Misas, the Lord of Light. Protect us all. Bye, y'all. I love y'all all.
Fire and blood.
All
right, let's go.
That connected Game of Thrones. I missed that. Somebody got
thank you.
Connect those dots for me.
Reese is a big Game of Thrones fan, so a lot of his
Game of Thrones fan as
metaphors.
Well.
Did you catch it, Mandro?
No, and I've read all the books several times. I've watched the show an infinite amount of times. I mean, huge fan of the entire story and the author. Yeah.
All right. Well, let those who understood.
He said this whole thing was a distraction and a test. For example, this is a message, a point I was going to make later on. I'll save it. But okay, it's just like you said, Suzette. If they can take established law and just say, nope, it was wrong. Well, what's to stop them from saying, well, integration, we're wrong about that, so let's separate again. Right. Interracial marriage, we're wrong about that, so let's make it illegal again. Right. They can literally do anything they want now with this precedent. Right. You know what I mean?
The total disregard of precedent.
Total disregard of established law.
As I had put up before.
But did we say that Roe versus Wade is wrong, or did we just say it's not a federal issue?
Here's the thing. And
there are two ways of looking at that. Go ahead, Mandro.
Yeah, it's state issue. The reason why I don't think this should be a state issue is because, let's be honest, that's a line we keep pushing further and further and further and further. It should be state. It should be up to the state, left up to the states. Oh, this is the United States of America. Most things should be federal across the board when it comes to people's rights.
Right. See, we see that. Well, rights.
When it comes to people's rights, think that should be protected federally across the board, across all states.
Right. So here's a question for you in that line of thinking. Mm-hmm. When does life start? When does that child have rights?
3 months.
Life doesn't begin in conception. Let's be honest. The science
that's the key. And I hope they bring a lawsuit against that. Because what if your religion now says, and I heard someone, I think it might have been Joyanne Reed last night on MSNBC, saying there was I think someone of a type of sect of Judaism saying that they don't believe that conception begins at fertilization. And was going to, I don't know the details of any type of like real legit test case, but say, for example, someone could argue based on their religious right, this is not when life begins. So why are you imposing upon me or infringing on my religious belief, just for argument's sake, that is when life begins? So I think that is going to be a very big sticking point because not everybody shares the same belief as to when life starts. That's how we got into some of these cases where, you had 15 weeks or 3 months or what we've come to call late term termination and people being against, okay, I'm cool with it up until now. That's before a heartbeat. That's before a brain stem. That's before any cognizant or cognition of the fetus. I'm cool with it here. But beyond this, if you got to move in, looking around, thinking, swimming, we need to keep that child because that child is now a human being. So that's why we got into the first term, second term, late term, and distinguishing between when we thought there was kind of a sense. Thank you for coming up, family values. Hold on, let me get family values involved. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm seeing you in the chat. I'm like, whoa, I can't answer everything. So I'm grateful because there are going to be different sides to this debate. And everybody's not going to think like me. Everybody's not going to think like the panelists here. So I wanted to offer a space where other people who might not think like me based on the comments can come through and voice their opinion. So what are your thoughts on the decision that was just made by the U.S. Supreme Court?
Okay, first, I just want to start off with saying I respect you and I respect your opinion. And Yeah, I don't want
Same,
this to be.
sis. Same,
Okay.
same.
All right. I believe, and like you were just talking about religion, I just believe that this decision is a godsend. Everybody has been praying for this. People have been going to war for these babies. And finally, we're seeing justice happen within our system. The decision in 1973 should have never happened, considering it was based on very blurry lines about privacy. And honestly, if you can say that I have the privacy to kill my baby, I also have the privacy to grape someone. I have the privacy to, murder someone. I have the privacy to do whatever I want because it's my body and I can do it. We're saying because the baby is inside of me is not a unique individual, but it is. We don't
In
have
your
the same
opinion.
DNA.
Understood. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't have the same DNA. If it's a boy, you don't have a penis now. You see what I'm saying? It's a complete, whole, unique person at conception. Soon as sperm meets egg, it has DNA and has everything it's going to need to be an adult one day.
No, it actually doesn't.
Anybody want to respond? And I want to thank
Can
you.
I-
And again, there are people in the chat that are like, "Thank you, Queen. Justice for all children." Shout out to the Work from Home Wife Atlanta.
Before
Jeremy says,
anybody-
"Wait a minute, that's a reach." Who wants to respond?
Before anybody
Mhm.
debates anything she says, I just want to say I want to congratulate her for saying that, because
Yeah.
I think that what she said
Mhm.
represents a lot more of America than we might think. I think there's a huge
Agreed.
belief that life begins, at inception, and for the most part, there are scientific explanations that have been used to justify murder. I think that's the mindset of a lot of people, and that's why they're comfortable with the decision that just happened.
Right.
It's her opinion,
agree.
and I agree with what
Yeah.
you're saying in terms of there are people that most definitely, because we've been seeing both supporters, people were like, "Yay, we've made it," in the streets in front of the Supreme Court building. It is again not for me to say she is quote wrong. It is more to try to understand where there might be differences in thinking from what she has presented. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say, "Oh no." Everyone has their opinion and it sounds like family values, your religious belief informs how you see life. It's
Right.
not wrong. It's not wrong. So my question to
But
you,
I would like to say this because
ahead.
people love to discredit because of religion. Outside of religion, science backs this. Science literally says that this little embryo has everything it needs for it to become a regular adult. That's
No,
not religion.
that's
That's the
incorrect.
truth.
That's incorrect.
It is very correct. I've been doing this for at least 7 years now. There's plenty of research out there. Although there are scientists and doctors who have an agenda and would say otherwise, there are at least 80% of these scientists that don't get published are saying the exact opposite.
Okay,
I'm gonna let you respond, Mandro. Go ahead.
The thing is, at inception, in order for you to become an adult or even a baby, you need trillions upon trillions of cells. And in inception, you don't have trillions of cells. So
You have DNA.
you have DNA, but you don't have trillions of cells. So there goes that argument, and that's
That doesn't.
That's how the scientific community debunks it. Now, in 3 weeks, now here's where you'll catch me, right? Where you and I will meet, in agreement. Like at 3 weeks, the brain begins to form, and
And the heart begins to
and
beat.
the thing is, when consciousness we know is in the brain. So once the brain is formed, that's where I'm like, okay, there's a brain there. There is a consciousness. And we have proven that once the brain is formed, there is consciousness there. So once there's consciousness, that's where I'm like, listen, that is a person now. It's conscious, it's aware. So that's where it becomes very much so circumstantial for me when it comes to termination. Your circumstances have to be justified, in my opinion, of course. But at inception, you can still argue that because some people think that, hey, it has DNA, so it can potentially be a person. That's potential, because you still don't know if that person's going to have any kind of a developmental disorder or anything like that. There's too much that we don't know at that point. And it is just a group of cells, not unlike a tumor.
Like a blob.
Yeah, it's just a
I
blob.
understand your point. I'm going to let her respond. But when life begins, is going to be a huge, like we probably will not come to an agreement, but I'm going to let you respond, family values.
Debate that back and forth forever.
I like that he said the word potential, because if we know potential life, for instance, say you're driving down the highway and you thought you saw a person in the street, it's a potential life there. Are you going to yield, or are you just going to keep hitting that gas because you don't know? That's the point. If it's a potential life, and 100% more than, or I'll say 99% more than likely, that baby is going to grow into a fetus, into a baby, into a toddler, a child, a kid, an adult. These are just simple stages of life. We have all been an embryo before. We have all been a fetus before. These are the stages we had to take in order to get to where we are today. So it's a potential life. I believe it is a life, but even science says, okay, it's a potential life because it doesn't have a brain yet. But at 22 days, it has a heartbeat. It has the brain. It has so many things within only 22 days.
I'm going to interrupt you just a moment. I'm going to read 2 comments, and I'm going to ask you to respond to the second one, family values. So Sandy B. Law, good to see you, says, I've studied both science and the law, both of which present various arguments on this. I still maintain my view of this as a woman's right to choose. Now, this is where there's going to be pushback on family values in terms of the legal precedent this sets. So TTOO says people can decide not to terminate. Because something is legal doesn't mean you have to participate. Each person bears their own consequences. So what say you, family values, to the argument that if you don't want one, don't get one, but don't stop me from getting one? What is your argument to that?
Can we say the same thing about slavery? Because it was lawful for us to have slaves. Are we supposed to say, well, I'm not going to do it, but it's cool for y'all to do it because that's y'all business? No.
It's a non sequitur.
It's unrighteous. It's wrong and immoral.
May I speak? Or
go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, here's my thing, Miss Family Values. My thing is, the rights that you're arguing, I don't have a problem with it, but you cannot mandate it against a particular sex. That's just plain wrong from an ethical standpoint. Now, if you and a person choose to engage in sexual activities, then that's the decision you should make between the two of you. But more than likely, you might be the type of person that might be inclined to say, okay, since I got him, I'm gonna trap this person, force them to be a father to this child. You're taking away the other person's rights. You do not have to, you're not alpha and omega, the bottom and the top in the situation. So it could be done no matter what you want to do. Arrangements will be made. And I guarantee you, people of status will be going to those states on their private planes or on a bus or in a car and getting it done. The same people that are pushing and supporting this issue to go against these rights. None of them are walking dead and hypocrites. Now, I'm not going to say I side with the people that are walking cemeteries, but here's the whole thing. I'm going to be vicious with it, but it's true. I have my personal values. If I'm with someone and I'm with them, I prefer not to have an abortion with them. I'll do whatever I can to help sustain the life. But that is my choice and a right of choice that we should make together as a couple. But you don't have a right to mandate your opinion, your religious beliefs, or other motivations to decide a person's right and whether or not they should have a child or not. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, or almost fact, if it's not correct or it's someone else, certain men get blamed for it. As a Black male, I don't need any additional stress in my life on certain things. I don't want someone that an accident might have happened and then they go with it. I don't want someone to take something out of a condom and impregnate themselves. There's a lot of circumstances and things where people get stuck with things, and they're all real. And you have to understand, it's not that easy to get pregnant per se. Man, even if you do get caught out there with every circumstance, that's a choice. But if you make that choice, will you be willing to be responsible for it solely? Would you support the idea of saying, if you want to have that child, you'll be responsible for it solely? If you say that, then I could agree with you. But if you're not going to be responsible for it solely, that means you need to sit down on this one, because you're not taking the responsibility onto yourself. You're going to share the burden with someone else that might not be equipped or want to raise that child or offspring. So until you get answer that question to me, I'd like to see how you respond. Please.
Okay, well, the issue with everything that you just said was accountability. Don't have sex. Don't have unprotected sex if you don't
You
want to have
can't
a child.
control whether
Wait,
I want to have sex.
I
Now.
let you.
cannot control that.
Let her respond. Let her respond.
Yeah, I let you. So for instance, you're saying if it was an accident and you didn't want the baby and she chooses to have the baby anyways, and then you're halfway responsible because you have to, child support and all these other things. These are the things that you are concerned about when that choice came in the bedroom. You don't get to choose after the fact that you made the mistake. Also,
madam,
if a woman doesn't want to have it,
let her finish her full point, and then you can come back. Okay, thank you.
Also, if a woman doesn't want to have that child, or if she doesn't have the financial means to take care of that child, there are plenty, especially because of this pro-life movement. There are plenty of resources out here that no one even dares or cares to go seek, because they just know they have the option to kill their baby instead and not have to deal with it. But I volunteer. I deal with a lot of these women. I know the resources that are out there. I know that adoption is extremely easy for newborn babies. I know of 3 families right now waiting on a newborn child. It doesn't matter if they're addicted on drugs, if they're got Down syndrome, they'll take them. They will take them.
I'm gonna interrupt.
So that's why I'm saying that all these excuses, they're excuses to not have to deal with the consequences of your actions. We shouldn't be able to kill a human being because we don't want to have to deal with your actions, the choice you made in the bedroom.
Okay, thank you. And Primrose, I just wanted to read a few comments because people are lighting up, and I'm grateful again for both of you sharing your sides of this issue, your beliefs on these issues. Primrose Russell says, so the potential life of an embryo supersedes the actual life of a woman who takes care of the potential life if the woman does not survive. Miss Globe Girl says, no law or state will ever dictate what happens in my womb. TTO argues, the Bible is based on freedom to live righteously or sinfully. It should be, or I'm implicitly putting that in, a freedom of choice, because God is a gentleman. God is invited. God does not push himself on you.
Amen.
You must receive him or welcome him, and then he becomes a part of you. So there are 2 pushbacks in my mind that I think about when I think about the religious overlay. There are very many, and I could just think about, again, no one is perfect, nor am I. Situations where I've heard and I've seen, even growing up, where I've seen girls who were like, let me be careful, children of pastors who I know secretly had terminations. But what was preached and what was done, even if I look at the Southern Baptist Convention right now and the horrific allegations of abuse by preachers and teachers in that church, I'm not in, and it's not an indictment of parishioners, those who are really trying to follow the teachings of God as they view them. But when I look at some of these institutions and the problems of which they have, preach one thing but practice something totally different, it's almost, to me, quite hypocritical for a religious stance to all of a sudden be the firm ground for dictating what should happen to everyone in the country. That bothers me a little bit. What would you say to that?
Real quick, because it's easy for everyone who puts up the argument that, oh, people should be responsible, like be more responsible for what they do in the bedroom. Let's just be honest. Even people who are religious and have their religious backgrounds make irresponsible decisions.
The pastor be going after the hot girl.
We all make.
We can't say it out loud though.
Decisions. Everybody does. So we can't sit up here and to say that, oh, everybody should be responsible. And I mean, it's not saying that you shouldn't be, because true, very much so true. You should be. You should. But the reality is people don't. And people are more irresponsible than they are responsible.
Right. And I agree. That's why I said accountability. Yes, people are very irresponsible. I was one of those people. And what I'm saying is we shouldn't change things to accommodate irresponsibility. We could say the same for rapists. There's people who can't control their urges. And when they see a little girl, they're just like, I gotta have her. Do we say, all right, maybe we should lower the age so they won't have to deal with the consequences of their actions? No, that's not the case. And as for what she was saying about the religious beliefs, yes, God gives us a choice to do right or do wrong. He's not a forceful God, and I totally agree with that. But would you say the same about raping someone or murdering someone? There are laws
Not the same
to
issue.
keep society. There are laws to keep society in order, because justice is what that's the God I follow. He's a just God. He doesn't like injustice.
No.
Children dying
Well, it's a God of
innocently.
thunder and lightning and fire. You know, he brought pain too. And sometimes the thing is, we're given free will. And for someone that's religious to go oppose someone's free will and choice is a big no-no. That's a non sequitur. You
Yes,
have to be germane to your point.
If somebody were to hurt my child, he needs to be in jail and needs to be stopped. I don't care about his choice. I don't care about how he feels about it or what kind of mental issues he had. He needs to be off the streets because he's hurting innocent people. The issue is our rights end when they impede on other people's rights.
You're right. I agree.
So you're saying the right of that child when you say on other people's rights. Excuse me. Because
Life,
if you're
liberty.
saying you're impeding on other people's rights, my instinct is to say, don't get a termination if you don't want one, but don't tell me I can't. That means to me, again, just for argument's sake, I just hear the same thing kind of happening to a person who has a different perspective on when a child begins, when an actual sentient being emerges from those cells, that cluster of cells. So I think there might be, and again, you don't have to answer tit for tat, but I'm just saying out loud what comes to mind, which is, if there is a choice to be made, let me make mine, you make yours. Why have one choice, which is your choice for me?
No,
if I happen to be a non-religious person, if I happen to be a
right. And it's not only one choice. There are choices. The point is that killing an innocent human being should not be a choice ever, unless, like I said, they're not innocent. These are innocent. They've done nothing to nobody. They didn't choose to be here. You did that,
madam.
When that man did that.
Let her finish, and you can go, Andrew. So you're saying no matter what, you see that as a human being. And I think that is going to be a point of contention no matter what, because not everyone sees at fertilization this.
But that's irrational. That's delusion. Because how do we say it's not a human being? Does anybody have a baby and it's not a baby? It's always a baby. It's not a dolphin. It's not a dog. It's not a thing. It's a baby.
In a blob. It's not a baby yet, I believe.
We're all blobs.
We're all human. Yes, I agree with that. We become human.
Zygote's not a baby.
How do you become human? You're human when you're made. Two humans make a human. Two dogs make a dog. There's no becoming. There's a stage of humanity. There's a stage and that stage is embryo, and then, like I said, then fetus, then baby, then toddler, then these are the stages of life for human beings.
Oh no, number one.
The Bible doesn't say when life begins.
Right. Now, the thing is, all of that is development, but in science, again, you're not a human until you become conscious. You're not a dog. A dog is not a dog until it becomes conscious of it. Consciousness dwells in the brain. That's where it is. And once the brain is developed enough for consciousness can live, all right, that's when you'll find me lean more towards your side when it comes to terminations. You know what I mean?
Well, that argument is flawed because there's unconscious people in the hospital right now in comas. Are they not humans?
And people get the choice to pull the plug on them or not.
If they don't have a potential to live, if they have if in 9 months they're gonna be okay, they do not pull that plug. We know that in 9 months that baby is gonna be conscious and able-bodied.
We don't know that.
Big Bad Bull say, y'all better hurry up, and I don't understand. The law is the law, so I don't know what we going back and forth. I see a super chat. Thank you, Miss Linda. So this is the question I was going to ask next. Andrew, I didn't let you finish. Go ahead. You were going to intercede.
Yeah, no, my biggest thing is I respect your decision, but the issues that you keep on stating family values is always about your opinion, what you feel, and what your religion tells you.
It's not about my religion. Why do y'all keep saying that?
No,
it's science.
No, it's not. What
It's not
degree of science
science.
do you have with that? It's not
That's what I
science. It's not
disagree with,
absolute.
yeah. It's
There's
not
different stages of life, and even there were councils
Exactly,
thousands of years ago made out by Muslims, Christians, and Jews that said anything over 3.5 months is a life. Anything that's terminated after that is killing a life. They've decided this, but then that's just me and my religious studies background talking. Me studying doctrine and so forth. You could go look that up. But my thing is, the thing is, religion in itself, especially as a Christian, you have a certain level of free will and set of values that you're taught to live by. But you have to be careful when trying to dictate your values on everyone else. The law's going to eat itself up anyway, because you're going to go to other states, you could go to Canada, go to Mexico, they're going to do what they're going to do. And what you're going to do? You're going to complain.
It's not about my values, it's about science.
Let me finish, madam. You're going to huff and puff because, oh, they went to Canada, they went to New York. I'm mad at them. I don't like you. I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to report them. That's my problem. The states will do what they want to do. I don't have a dog in the fight because I don't have a womb. I can't talk on it. I shouldn't be able to speak on it because I don't have a womb. I don't have the right parts. But my thing is this. You as a woman, it's going to come backfire on you because it's going to take away other rights. And then when these things are totally taken away from your grandchildren, your daughters, and everything else, and God forbid an awkward circumstance happens, you're messed up. So my thing is, you just have to be considerate of other people's rights. You're not being considerate of them either, because you always talk about how you feel. Well, this is what you like. This is what you like. There's another side to the coin, and this is a very big thing.
I didn't speak of how I felt. I spoke about science and what is true. I said everything. Madam, I said
you've not verified the science. Do you know when does life begin? Explain.
Andrew,
let me finish though. I want to finish this up though. My thing is this: how many millions of sperm cells are there? Are you saying that when a person it has fun with their phallus, they're ruining the seeds, therefore then they're committing a sin? Is that what you're gonna say as well?
No, I didn't say that. No one said anything about sin. You guys are pushing this religious thing.
No, it's the same thing. They're different parts.
No one said.
Thing is this. Hear me out,
this is what you guys do all the time.
No, y'all
try to say
Walker, a religious studies major. I went to Siena College, and I also finished up a degree in organizational management. But what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm a human being. I'm entitled to my opinion. It will be stated here, and it'll be on there. You just have to understand, accept the decision. Pardon me, madam.
I said I'm a human. So are the babies. And just let me just clear this up really quick.
Not a baby. Look up the definition of a zygote. Tell me that.
Well, okay,
really quick. Just let me clear this up, because you're assuming that if I seen somebody going to a different state to get an abortion, oh, I'm going to be mad at them, or they're going to be bad people. First of all, I don't blame the women. I blame the doctors. I blame society. I blame the government and this brainwash that's going on that is making people ignore the truth, because since before 1973, everybody knew that when you got pregnant, there's a human being inside of them. Now, all of a sudden, it's an argument. Second of all, I've been there, and that's why I said I've been there. I've had an abortion before when I was younger, because I didn't think it was wrong. I didn't know what I was doing. It was legal, so I felt like it was okay. So I made that decision. I'm forgiven. I know that's not something that I deal with a lot, but I do know that it does affect the person negatively, whether they want to admit it or not. Emotionally damaging, physically damaging, and it really puts a toll on, because deep down, women, we know what we're doing. We know what we just got rid of. There's no way. The only way that we were able to say, okay, it is what it is because of the laws, because it was championed by feminists, because people and the people are saying it's okay. When we have society saying this is something that is okay and give you excuses for it, you're not going to take accountability. And that's been the problem. Just like slavery, it was okay. People didn't mind it. This was normal. But it took for us to go to war, us to stand for what was right, because it was wrong to take the rights of human beings away from them. And that is the same thing that's happening right now.
Well, to be fair, I'd just like to clarify something. My only point of contention with you is you say it's based in science, and I'm familiar with the data that you speak of.
Mm-hmm.
My only point of contention, to be clear, is that your data is dated. Like that's old data you may have found it here
And I'll
recently.
invite her. Family Values, you
Yeah,
are doing an amazing job, and I
she
don't want,
is.
again, because you're becoming very vulnerable, and again, this topic is not an easy one to
No, not at
tackle,
all.
talk about, and I'm grateful that you're here. I'm going to ask you, Family Values, if you would like, you can put whatever study or statistics in the chat. Put it
Yeah.
in the chat. So anyone is invited to put that in the chat, honestly, so that we can look and even beyond this conversation, because I don't think we're going to be able to get to everybody's point for point. And that's a wonderful thing about the nature of this forum. But it is going to take us to like do both. I think you're right. Soul searching, science searching. It's both. It's
Yeah,
both.
because
I don't think we can remove, and people are saying, oh, they ask questions, they don't offer solutions. Let's I don't know. I don't agree with everything in the chat, but the point I'm trying to make is there, even beyond what we can bring out in the conversation today, if we make someone think a little differently, open up and not be as rigid. I agree with Sandy B. Law. I was going to bring back her comment. Like there's this perception that there has to be a right, wrong, or, and again, some people might be wired that way or have a preconceived notion that way. I think there's a lot of gray here, but maybe others will disagree, and that's fine. But yeah, I hear you, and I wanted to bring up Miss
Suzette, I'm going to bounce off. I just want to say family values. Real quick, family values. I'm sorry for the pain you felt in your past, but at the end of the day, it's a decision. I'm glad you. I'm not, but I'm saying that I acknowledge that, and as a man, my part is to make sure, God forbid, that happens with someone I'm with, that I provide the right support so they don't have to go to that extreme. That's my job as a man, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
All right, Andrew. Thank you. Appreciate it. Andrew said he got to go other stuff to do today. Sorry, last man in Jersey. I saw you bow out. I wasn't on purpose. I just wanted, for folks, it's easier for folks at home to watch. Says, we'll never convince faith with science or vice versa. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but I see Miss Linda. I wanted to bring her in. And Miss Linda says, hey, bring up the likes and bring up the dough. Appreciate her on the $49.99 super chat. How are you tonight, Miss Linda? Are you going to unmute yourself? Let's see if you can unmute. Sorry about that. And she says, I strongly support Suzette. Thank you. I did not wake up this morning to live in the past. Don't make me put on my gasoline drawers. All right, Miss Linda. What are your thoughts today? Thanks for joining the panel.
Okay, Suzanne, I don't have no problem telling my age because I'm glad to be here, okay? I'm 67 years old, and I know good and well there's a lot of hurt out there, a lot of pain, but I did not expect to relive this trauma. Trauma is everywhere, all around us, but this is horrible trauma. And even today, we still don't get to say from doctors the okay, or even if you're in an area for best medical care, it's something about the doctor's narcissistic behavior. When we come in, they're challenging, it's like you're not supposed to challenge them. The bottom line is, I don't know the young lady that you addressed for as like the childbirth. Back then, we had gestational diabetes. We had the placenta disconnected from the baby. If you were on that table, your death was called out in front of you. You was gonna die, and you couldn't get off the table, and it wasn't a damn thing nobody could do about it. And that was it. That was horrible. That having babies that's not no joke. And you at death's doorway. That is the closest.
They told me I was wrong. I don't have no kids yet, Miss Linda. They told me I was wrong. I'm making it a big deal. People been having babies people been dying for thousands of years as well.
Yes, they have been dying for thousands of years from having kids. And I'm glad to be here for several reasons, because I could have been one of those ones. I bled terribly. They said, they didn't tell me, until like things got bad. And the terrible thing, you all got better technology than what we had. Then we had to suffer 15, 16, 17 hours. Who want to be in labor that damn long? We suffered and suffered, and like I said, I don't, I know this is an era that, that's why I stepped out, because I came out to be a YouTuber. I wake up this morning and what am I getting? I don't want
Going
this
back.
from the past.
So let me ask you, Miss Linda, sorry to interrupt, because there is a time where you definitely experienced where women did not have this right pre-Roe. Did you experience folks that damaged themselves, hurt themselves, passed away trying to get rid of pregnancies?
I went to a lot of funerals, Suzanne, and I got to the point where I wouldn't even wear black, okay? And secrets, oh my God, secrets galore, okay? And that's why I said, as a baby boomer, I want, like Lee said, anybody that over a certain age needs to come out and say, hey, this is what we messed up. This is what I'm being held accountable for, okay? I want you all to learn from my mistakes. Don't repeat my mistakes, okay? That's why I'm out here now. And you know, like I said, I've learned from Suzanne, I've learned from Gail, I've visited a lot of chat, and I'm learning, but I don't want to go back to to this case now. That's ridiculous. We shouldn't even be fighting this, not at all. But
and Miss Linda, do you consider yourself a woman of faith?
I have to, absolutely. Now I may not. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not the church going faith type. The church is in my heart. I'm not going to come out here and cause anybody no pain. I'm not going to steal your subscribers. I'm not going to hate on you. I'm going to be straight up, okay? I'm coming at you, but I'm not coming that way, okay?
Got you.
And, I think for me, how do I put this? I'm not an atheist. I'm not the God-fearing church person, because a lot of people in the church, that's a man standing up on that pulpit, okay? That's a man, all right? That's okay. Maybe he's there to deliver the word. That's what I'm saying. But I'm not trying to beat down anybody's religion, but I've seen things at my age, 67, that has caused me to, change my mind about a lot, a lot of the issues today.
Question, Miss Linda, do you think it's now you looked at it from the state level, or I'm asking, do you think it's better that only the states can govern this issue, or do you think for you, would it have been better to have it remain as a law nationally?
I think nationally, because this gives them the opportunity to take everything away. They've been waiting for this for a long time. Right. This opened the door for gay rights. This opened the door for legal right, anything that they want to take. This is what they've been planning for years. They want to take it. It's just like a cancer. I'm a cancer survivor, and I explain to everybody when I come on. When I went, hey, that cell that got loose was 14 years old. That shit didn't happen today. It was 14 years old. If you go to the doctor, just like I said, if you're talking about anybody that has dementia or Alzheimer's, that plaque on the brain, that's 20 years old already. If you got high blood pressure, you done had it for 10 to 15 years. You've had it, okay? And they had an agenda, and they've had it. And this is what's to keep us in line. You have become too intelligent. You have learned to read, write, and do all these things, and you got out of line. You got out of line. So we need to put you back in order.
I hear you, Miss Linda. I'm going to give someone else a chance. Thank you. Simpin Ain't Easy says, what people are missing here, they're up in their feelings. They're missing the fact that this is taking away powers from the feds and putting back in the state's hand. People are just so butthurt. Termination equals murder. I hear you. Thank you for sharing your opinion. Thank you so much. I see Super Chat Net Ranger. Thank you. They will be pulling the plug on life support. If y'all have a living will in place, went through that with my mother. Wow. Yeah. Wow. They will be pulling the plug on life support. I'm going to let family values, I'm going to let you respond, or you don't even have to respond. You can just add to your point. Oh, Miss Linda's out. Okay. So therefore, I'm grateful again. This is a healthy conversation. It is not to attack or disparage personally through personal attack. It's to look at the arguments and to see where we are. I'm gonna allow you, if you want to add anything, and I see another super chat. Thank you so much, y'all, showing love to the content. TBE Trucking says, why can't we make better decisions with your bodies? All this talk of death is extreme. Okay. Bruh, there's no evidence of thousands of women dying from childbirth. Antonio, I think we're going to have to bring some research forward. I disagree.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, I don't have any response.
In the U.S.,
Okay,
praise be to God, elders, bringing some wisdom today. Thank you, Miss Linda. Thank you so much for your generosity and for coming up. Sister Linda says she went to funerals till she stopped going to funerals.
Right. Stop wearing
I like to respond to
Please.
about the death rate with women having children.
Yes.
I believe, and you can correct me. Well, no, from experience, I'm on my 8th child right now, and I've had them in hospitals and I've had them at home, and it is much safer, easier, and quicker. We ain't in labor for 18 hours when you do it at home or with a midwife. Is when you go to these doctors and they shoot up drugs in you and they have you on your back doing unnatural things when we should be squatting.
You should be squatting down. I agree with that.
We should be doing all these things, and it causes you to hemorrhage because you're pushing uphill instead of letting gravity help. A lot of these issues come with fear tactics because a lot of women are fearful of pregnancy and and having a baby, that they go to these doctors and the doctors don't care about them, and they rather have a paycheck. And the more drugs they give you, the more money they get. If they give you a C-section, the more money they get. And we need to probably part ways with Big Pharma because they're not helping us, they're hurting us, and try to do things more naturally like it's been done for hundreds of years.
Understood. Would you guys like to respond? I'm trying to find a super chat by Big Bad Bull. I've been up and down, but good points. I do agree with that. I think sometimes what we get when we are pregnant, the care that we get is not necessarily in line with holistic approaches and natural approaches to the way your body is made, etc. I have never had a baby, so I'm not gonna go there because I'm gonna get caught up with someone who's had 8. But devil's advocate in my head just says every woman's body is different. Family values, darn, I hope we didn't drop. You probably either your phone dead or something. You're welcome back up. Find a charger. You're welcome back up. I hope you can come back up. I'm
now that after talking to her, I am familiar with her. I was on another panel with her. Oh, like I think a couple of months ago.
I can't find Big Bad Bull's.
She's a good person. She's a good person.
No, here she is. She's back. She's back in the back. Maybe she hit a button by accident.
Awesome.
I'm trying to find. There we go. Super chat from Big Bad Bull, always supporting. Says, what family values? I'm glad you came back. I was like, no. But yeah, I tend to tread lightly because I have not had a baby. But I know a lot of, first of all, when people say it's easy to get pregnant, some people have very difficult fertility journeys. Right. So one thing I know, I just want to say everybody's body is different. Some people, both my grandmas had babies like clockwork. That's why I'm hopeful. But everybody's body is so different that I'm like always, I don't want to say because one can, even with a couple now, I know they've been married for quite some time. I do not ask them when they're going to be pregnant because you just don't know what's going on in people's bodies. Right. So shout out to Big Bad Bull. 20 on the super chat. What's so interesting to me is how passionate folks are about this, but yet they are not as passionate about keeping their legs closed and not getting pregnant out of wedlock in the first place. Jive, oxy, moronic. Ouch.
Well, Big Bad Boy, they ain't never gonna be passionate about that. They're never gonna be passionate about keeping their legs closed.
No.
Stop it. Or men are never gonna be passionate about keeping their thing in their pants. Just never gonna do it. That's what I'm saying. Like, practice.
Y'all be wanting the legs closed, but y'all be showing up though to the late night creeps.
Okay. To be practical, people are gonna be. People should be responsible when it comes to that, but.
Absolutely.
People are not. That's the reality of it. People
and there also are other
circumstances. And I think the thing is that the whole thing for me personally, the whole thing about this whole pro-choice versus anti-choice thing is that the pro-choice of it takes away and completely paints everybody's situation with one brush. And the thing is, like, the whole argument, even if a woman has a procedure, has a procedure because she can't afford it or whatever, like, still, I mean, unless you are stepping up to volunteer to take on financial responsibility, to take on love and care in that child, then step out of it. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, it's hard because go ahead.
There's plenty of people who are stepping in to give resources and money and anything that these women that don't have the resources that they need on hand. There are plenty of Christians, there's plenty of pro-life people who are out here doing that work and giving these women help. Like I said, I volunteer at a place. Like, a woman just came in the other day. She was homeless. She 37 weeks pregnant and had a 4-year-old with her. And we found her a place to stay. We got her good. So there are other options. And I don't think saying that we don't want you to kill someone means that we have to be able to take care of them for you. It's a simple, what's wrong and right, what's right and wrong. Just like it's right is wrong to hurt people who are outside of the utero. But to ask you a question, do you believe that abortion, or I'm sorry if I use
termination, no problem.
Termination.
It's probably gonna get demonetized. I'm already up there. It's all love. The conversation more important to me, but go ahead. That's your question.
Do you think that deletion has incentivized the sexual liberation and made women and men less accountable they have something that's readily available to them to erase the choices or the mistakes that they made? Do you believe that this is helping aid that movement?
Not at all. And the reason why I say this, because
you answer first, I'll go after. Go ahead.
In the 70s, that was the whole free love movement when all of this went down too. And even before that, like, women were still performing deletions on themselves or trying to figure out ways to delete babies or just abandon children altogether. So there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing. So therefore, this has been happening. The only reason why it seems as though it's an explosion of this is because of the introduction of the internet. Everything is placed on the internet, and it's made more known that this happened. But it's been happening forever. And
you said
since it started.
Yeah, you said since the 70s, and that's literally when abortion became something that was fought for. That was when it became an option in 73. But it had been fought for in the 60s. I agree, because people were doing it under the table. But this had become something popular, and women seeing that this is a getaway free card to be sexually liberated. They don't have to get married no more. They don't have to stick with the man that they're having sex with just in case they get pregnant. I truly believe that this has definitely incentivized and made us more bold with our sexuality.
Open with it, more fast and loose.
I'm
not gonna listen. I have a friend and I love her to death. I haven't called her back because I can't have that conversation with her because she feels the same way. And I'm no disrespect, family values. Right. Love her like a sister. But when I get off the phone with her, I feel tired because she'd be like, these people just keep having all this sex. And if they just stop having all this sex, I'd be like, not saying that you're saying that, not saying that me and her talk. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if that's like what's really happening in real life.
Right.
But the interpretation of there's something that came up in my heart as I was preparing for it before as well. Again, conspiracy, but maybe. So I'm getting back to your question as to whether that opened the floodgates for people being much more sexually liberated and therefore not responsible, not accountable, as you put it. I was thinking about, again, when I think about these national decisions, I always look at it from the powers that be. I was wondering if this is a way also to stop the advancement of women. Hear me out, question, not necessarily to you family values, but in general. Because if you have less choice, because we're talking about choice in terms of like sexual freedom, but I think if you have less economic choice as women, period, the overall advancement educationally, the money you make, the independence, if you will. And I'm not saying I'm an advocate of it. I'm just saying I thought about this last night. I'm like, I wonder if this is so that women can come back to a place of collaboration. Let me put it in a nice way of seeking out male support on a larger scale. I don't know. I think that might be something that might be really well off, because I think sometimes about the powers that be in our government. But what do you guys think? Is that too far off of a presumption or theory?
I think your theory, I understand your theory, because as a result, this will happen, yes. But I don't think that was the motivation. I think the motivation was the sanctity of life.
Okay, understood, and I respect your point. What would you say, Shushu or Mandrell? Is that too far?
I think the sanctity of life had nothing to do with it, honestly. Because when you talk about politics, there is less concern about or care about human beings, to be honest with you. So
this is a curious point that you're making. Go ahead.
I think it is more about choice, and it is about and I can't say, I don't have definitive truth, but I'm agreeing with you, Suzette. There probably is some kind of underlying something. All right, y'all a little bit. Y'all a little bit too free.
Let's wind
this in.
It randomly came in my mind. I'm not sad because I'm like, I have no proof of this. I'm like, just thinking, my big lawyer brain want to say, what the heck? What is the real motivation? What is the real motivation?
Here's the thing. The thing is that's obvious. And there's absolutely an underlying reason why they did it, and it's not the sanctity of life.
Right? They care less. They care less about human life.
If they cared about the sanctity of life, you wouldn't sell cigarettes. We'd have Medicare for all.
We have gun regulation.
We would have police reform.
Yes.
If you cared about life so much, and it's not about it, so it's no. The government has never cared about human life. The government deals in practicality, which means there's a such thing as acceptable losses.
Right.
Okay. Human life is not the priority here.
Right.
It's the big. It's there's a big picture. An overall task that needs to be done. Right. That's why you need acceptable losses.
Right.
So this is Don't fool yourself. I don't want you to fall. I don't want you to fall into that trap.
You mean it generally, not her.
Yeah, and I mean it generally. And I just don't want her, like family values. I don't want her or anyone else to fall into the trap of thinking that our politicians did this for the greater good of human life. No, ma'am. We absolutely did not do that for that reason.
May I respond?
Yes, you may, of course. Thank you, Doug, on the super chat. The Big 10, no comment, no question, just love. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you.
I do agree that politicians do not care about us, and there is a lot of things that they put into action that was to keep control of us. And we can talk about everything with that virus that went out that happened recently.
All right, yes,
a lot of this. That's all. I ain't say the word. But when it comes to this decision with the Supreme Court, if it was a political thing, it would have went the opposite direction, because the politicians that are not for us are for deleting babies. Why? Because it's population control. They have better control of the Black community, and sexual liberation allows them to continue to control us. We're going to need the government. We're going to need when we are forced to actually have nuclear homes and strong men, the government gets smaller. They lose their control. So I agree what you're saying, but it is the opposite.
It's bearing a different way.
This decision came from righteous Christian Supreme Court justices. They were placed there by a president that a lot of y'all don't like, because he knew that he believed in the sanctity of life. He cared about these babies. So he placed these type of Supreme Court justices. And eventually they did what he said they would do. They overturned something that should have never been put in place in the first place. So I don't think it's a political ploy. It's the opposite of that, because if it was political, they would have fell, they would have gave in to the pressure that they received once that was leaked.
Okay,
Pause, Mandrell. Let me just read the super chat. I see you chopping at the bit. Just shout out to Driscoll on the support. Made a point earlier saying that the conception talk, when conception begins, was a deflection. Most know they're pregnant at 2 to 3 months, which is quite much longer, right? Babies have limbs, heartbeats, lungs, and a nervous system by then. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your point. Go ahead, Mandrell.
All right. Here's one reason why it was done. It wasn't something righteous. It's, again, numbers. Okay. We all know that it's about getting voters, really. And most times decisions like this, like why the feminist movement was allowed to go on and persist, people like to say that it was to separate the Black families. No, that was just a happy accident. Why it was really allowed to persist is to get women out of the house from being housewives and into the workforce. Because if women are in the workforce, they have to pay taxes. And it was something that was honestly just as simple as that. Why the feminist movement, everything else that happened because of it was a happy accident. Now, fast forward to this. It's about voters. White people, by and large, vote one way, right? They do. However, other races are gaining on them in terms of population. Turns out white women have more terminations than other races.
That's not true.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me
I'm not debating.
Go ahead.
Your point of view or anything like that. I just say when it comes to science, your data's outdated. Your data is outdated. You may have just recently found it within the past year or so, but that's outdated data. That's been the things I've heard you say have been debunked, and new data has been found. That's why I'm saying that. Like,
okay,
so I'm not. It's only the data I have.
That you're saying that. And again, if you guys even want to come back to the stream, drop a link after under the comment section of the stream. Do that. That's okay. I want people to get information so that they can draw their own conclusions, because we've heard, kind of, this is what I've always heard, that what more white women use this type of procedure. I'm not sure. I don't back it up yet here. I'm gonna have to go Google it and kind of do my own research. But if you have the research, drop it in the chat. And if you have it after the stream, go ahead and drop it in the comment section. Sandy B. Law on the super chat. Thank you, sis-in-law. She says, the right to choose is an individual right, much like the right to have an opinion. My uterus, my choice. Thank you for the diverse views on this, Suzette. Well, I'm here playing devil's advocate. I hear all of y'all. And like I said, whether or not I agree with you or not, again, I tend to be more open. I'm thinking about how my views will evolve. I know I live in a state right now where, what if my state legislature here in Florida says tomorrow, no weeks of consideration. Right now it's 15 weeks is the law in the books in Florida. I don't know. Gotcha. I don't know. It's a lot to think about. Go ahead, Family Values.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to explain why I said that wasn't true. Mm-hmm. Yes, technically, numbers wise, 60% of white women have abortions, but they are 60% of our population. 35% are Black women, and we're only 12% of our population.
You're talking about per capita.
Disproportionately affects us. We are not gaining in our population. We are stagnant. We're no longer growing.
Okay, so you're saying percentage of the whole versus percentage of the population that you are in the society. I understand the difference.
Correct. Yeah.
So numerically, if you're a bigger piece of the pie, you're going to be more. But you're saying proportional to our smaller, and I think it's 14%. Some people say 12, 17, whatever Black people are, proportionate to how many people we are, percentage-wise in the whole, we are proportionally more is what you're saying.
We have lost 25% of our population due to abortion alone.
The architect, thank you. very much, Family Values. The architect has joined us. Architect, can you flash your face for me, please? Just make sure I know it's you. And then you don't have to, okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, architect, come on through. How you doing?
I am good, thank you. Sorry, I'm just,
Oh
it's
my
just that.
gosh, I didn't know who I was talking to. Hi.
Hi,
Long time no
it's
here.
been a while. Yes, I've been so busy.
Awesome.
Um,
Glad to have you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, there's so many things that's going through my mind about this.
Yes.
But right now, I don't think this is the right time for black men to be pointing the fingers at black women and saying, "Oh, you see, you better close your legs" and all that stuff. It's not the time. I see this as more related to commercialism and to increase the new age type slavery, right?
Explain.
So it's been a long time that the paler women have not been reproducing that much, and this is worldwide. I
Okay.
don't think it has anything to do with them, because even what happened in Texas, a lot of people I heard saying that it has to do with forcing them to produce more, because there's so much more that goes into that. Like I've seen where Canada, where I am, that's where I live. They do encourage people to have children, more children, because the population hasn't grown that much, right?
Right. Canada gets a
Except
lot of
by
immigrants for that reason, because you guys don't
right.
really produce.
But they give incentive, like they'll give you bonuses for having your children. So if you have a kid, they give you, it doesn't matter your income level, you get $100 a month for each kid. And they give other incentives. So even if like people who have lower income, they get incentive for people with higher income. Say the more children they have, the more likely they'll be able to get those incentives, because they also look at not just the income level, but they look at how many children you also have, right? So there would be so much more to it than just banning the termination. So I think it's more to increase the
White population? We can say it that way.
no, it's to increase. Well, when I look at it, who's it going to affect more than anybody? It's going to be poor women, and a lot of those women are
black and white, though. Black and white. I'm telling you, we haven't talked about the rural areas of our country,
right.
man. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are white that live in poverty. We don't talk
right.
about it. They kind of get ignored and kind of pretend that they don't exist. All white people got money. That's not true. Right. That's not true.
No, they do. Right. But it's going to be affecting more poor people, especially single mothers. Absolutely. Right? And so I can see how that's going to increase the school to prison pipeline. They need free labor. I think this is what it's about. It's about, okay, they need to do something. There's something I feel going on with the economy that we are not aware of, that they know about.
Right.
And I think that's how they're going through to resolve it, because it's just strange that Texas had this issue up last year, and now the federal government does.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't overturn it then. Almost the same makeup, got a new judge, Amy Coney Barrett, and boom, here we are. Jared Bogarty says we have a labor shortage. That's the real issue. Some of them tell me I'm reaching with some of these conspiracy. I'm just bringing it to the fore. Right. Thought about it, read about it. Why not discuss it here? Because some people do say the government sees 20 and 30 years down the road. We're looking at today and paying our bills today. Yes. They're looking at trends of a country and they're trying to do something about it. I don't know. Call me conspiracy theorist, but I really do believe that.
And to bring, if I could finish my point, like,
go ahead.
I would say I made I brought up the whole thing with the feminist movement, how it was something so simple. To bring the point to this one, why they got rid of Roe v. Wade, right? It's something so simple as numbers. They've been complaining, if you've been paying attention to the news, they've been complaining about the dwindling population of Caucasians for the past 30 years. Yeah. So, and then you look at the numbers and you're like, more of them have been doing that. More of one ethnic group has been doing this, even though they paint the narrative that African-American women do it more. That's a narrative that they paint. Let me finish.
Go ahead. Let him finish.
Now, if you end abortions federally, Of course, now the states have control. Now, in the Midwest, and in the South, largely, the population of one ethnic group that in question, because I'm not a racist, not trying to make it about race, really. This really is why they did that. They're trying to get their numbers back up so that they can sway them to vote a certain way.
Wow. Okay.
It really is something
your opinion.
just that simple. It really is something that's just that simple. Now, the residual things that's going to happen, those are going to be accidents. But that was the primary goal, because they've been telling us in the news, like on TV, like for decades.
This is what Paul says. Paul says it. You don't have to. This is about white preservation, not black preservation.
Okay. Yes, that's exactly what I'm. That's exactly.
I'm not like I said. Everyone has an opinion. Okay. We're trying to be respectful. I believe one love, one human race. But let's get it going. Right. I'm gonna allow the architect. You were making a couple other points. Did you have another follow-up points? And then I'm gonna do a round robin. Quick. Anybody else want to come up? This is the last call for the panel. Because I'm on Jamaicas.com, I know they have a show right after mine, so I'm trying to be respectful. Iman says correct. Eliminate the middle class so we have a slave population. Very strong words there. Drisco TV says, y'all are literally trying to point the finger at every excuse except the simple fact that it should not be legal for a mother to delete her offspring. Historically, we wouldn't have called this barbaric. I hear your point. I hear your point. I am not going to... Hey, they're playing the long game, Chris, not the TV. Good to see you. Girl, we need to do an interview. DM me or something. Give me a shout. Thank you so much. BY on the super chat says, just because you agree with the ruling from a religious standpoint doesn't mean it was the correct decision. Just because you agree with the ruling from a religious standpoint doesn't mean it was the correct decision. We are not a theocracy, and this will open the gates to other bad decisions. That's what the latter part of this is what I'm really afraid of. Yeah, because if there is no stare decisis, there is no precedent. Right. What the heck can you go back and say that was wrong? Right. I don't know. That I hear
what you want, apparently, Suzette. Right. Yeah. I mean, they did it with this.
It's like I said, I don't. Loving v. Virginia. You're gonna say now, when we were wrong on the interracial marriage? Definitely, they come in for same-sex marriage, bro. Clarence Thomas made the clarion call in his concurrent opinion, which was basically, hey, y'all, come bring cases. We can look at a few more things, including contraception as a right to privacy, as no longer fitting within that enumerated right. Mm-hmm. I think same-sex marriage is going to be in the crosshairs, honestly.
But to Clarence Thomas, I've never been a fan, ever since the trial he had. When he was on trial in the 90s for sexual harassment. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we ain't going back to Clarence Thomas and his Anita Hill days. My lord. My lord. That's gonna take us way back. But yeah.
Can I just speak on something really quick? He brought up race.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Mandrell. I do agree that a lot of this has to do with race, and it started in the 70s. Have you heard of Margaret Sanger?
Yes, we brought her up probably before you joined. We did. Go ahead, make your point.
Yeah. Okay, so if y'all know about her and know that she wanted to use baby deletion to further keep our population low, which has
Black people,
yes, it's worked. Now that we get the chance to probably slow that down, you're saying it's only because they want more white people in the population? Listen, you see what I'm saying? How does that correlate?
Let him respond. Go ahead.
I know what it seems like to you, but rest assured, this is only one step. Right. It's not even the first one. Right. This is only one step to get their numbers up. It's only one. Right. One of many steps. I mean, but this is just a part of a big picture. It's like Suzette says, the people who are really in charge, they look at the future 100 years, 150 years, 200 years into the future. They look at trajectory. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so they've been gaming this Roe v. Wade thing for decades. Right. They've been gaming it for decades. And then when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, unfortunately,
she should have retired. Huh? She should have retired.
Yeah. But she even agreed with this. She said that due to I'll have to send that.
She argued for
She
a woman's
argued that it's
choice.
not constitutional and it shouldn't be up to the hands of the Supreme Court. It should go back to the states.
didn't
She
do
said
that.
this
I
before
want
she
to see
died.
that. I want to see that, please. I watched video last night when I was watching all the news about this, of her arguing specifically for this being a woman's right, that my body, what happens with my body, the state should not be able to teach me or tell me or usurp my autonomy. That's what I've seen Ruth Bader Ginsburg argue, literally, before she joined the court. I don't know. You'd have to show me that. You'd have to show me that.
This was later in her life. I'll definitely find it and send it
Put
to
a
you.
link, drop something, because I don't necessarily agree with that. Go ahead, Mandrill.
Justice Ginsburg is the reason why they haven't been able to overturn this sooner. She's stood directly in the way of this happening.
Exactly. So that's why I disagree. But if there's proof of that, please put it in the comment section afterwards. Doug on the sofa, thank you again, says labor shortage is irrelevant. What do you see? This is the fourth wave industrial revolution. Analysts are predicting that by 2030, we're not that far away from that. That's 8 years. 2030. This is one thing I love about YouTube, to go back and watch these shows. what we thought was going to happen and what happens. 94%. 94 is a big number, Doug. Of the labor force will be replaced by AI
and automation. Yeah.
Automation is taking over a lot. It's taking over a lot of industry, and it's taking over more. They come
94%.
Listen, I don't know about 94%, but automation really.
I get it. AI is coming, right? Artificial intelligence is coming. I get it.
Here,
but the thing is, we already have it. We already have AI. It adds to the production in various industries, but it's not going to replace. How can you replace a doctor with AI? Right? How do you replace a lawyer with AI? Like, there's certain critical thinking that a lot of professionals have that you cannot replace with AI. AI is programmed by people to be more linear, but not necessarily critical and creative. That's more
I'm
us.
going to ask the panelists to make a kind of prediction. I know I hate to make predictions, but we don't really know what's going to happen. There's a recession coming. There's so many other factors, a midterm election coming. It's like almost like they throw so much at us, we don't know what to focus on. Like, the ball just keeps moving and jumping, and next big thing. And now we have had gun legislation as well. That New York,
not really.
They're not changing that.
I'm saying the legislation that New York had, that they had regulation against having certain weapons. If you were like a patrol officer or some kind of, security, or had a reason for that. And basically the Supreme Court also released an opinion that said basically there was no reason to limit open carry. And I thought, boy, they done gave the Uzi more rights than the women.
Right.
It's in one day. Like, that's a secondary case. I might do a show on it as well. I want to tip everybody off. There are 2 great shows coming up next week. Tuesday, I have Roxy Beckles, High Value Women Talk, Femininity, Fitness, and Faith. That's going to be Tuesday at 7. I also have Uncle Stu. Big up. Finally, he's going to finish out my month on Wednesday, because I will be emceeing a political debate on Thursday. Uncle Stu is going to talk, what decisions must you confer with your spouse on? Y'all want husbands and wives, though, but y'all don't want to ask nobody no permission. What? Okay, we're going to talk about it. What decisions must you ask or confer with your spouse on? I can't wait to talk about those 2, Femininity, Fitness, and Faith, with Roxy Beckles, how to become a high-value woman. I love her journey. She's an amazing YouTuber. She'll be on next Tuesday, and Uncle Stu will finish out the month Wednesday. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, back-to-back next week. I'm going to have everybody do a little prediction what they think the world will look like with the trends they see now. Thank you so very much, Mr. Blue Water 2121, showing love on the super sticker. Thank you so much. No comment, just love. TB says, stops with the scare tactics. I ain't nobody scaring nobody. We're asking, and we're kind of presuming some of the, I think, major change that's going to affect people's lives starting like in 10 days in some states. Trigger laws going into effect. Other people are saying that there are going to be legislatures now that, had much more conservative leanings that are going to now make laws. Shut it all down. Coming from a complete, I think it was Joy Ann Reid that put it on her Instagram and tweeted, like, when they say they're coming for a complete rollback of deletion rights, believe them.
Right.
Believe them. It was something that, again, I'm not a fear monger person. But if y'all think that deletions aren't going to happen,
right.
You got another thing coming.
I just feel like now it's people are more vulnerable.
Well, I believe they had until 15 weeks to do their deletion. That's what
in Florida. Each state now is different.
Right.
Each state, some people is 6 weeks. Some people is no weeks. No exception for grape, incest, mental capacity of the mother. None of it. Some of it is a pure outright ban, depending on the state you live in. So now the fear is, or the calculation is, call the clinic in the nearest state. Can you get money for this person? Either drive, fly, do whatever, take off work, find childcare, all those things to go do a procedure that used to just be available in their local, say, vicinity. But now it's a huge calculation. And thank you. I hope Family Values is okay. I know she dropped off before. It's a cost, time, and I would just say resource prohibitive overall decision now, because it's not necessarily available in your state. You might have to fly to Cali. You might have to fly to New York. It is what it is. So now it's a state by state, cross a state line. You could probably go get a service. On this side, you can't get the service.
And if you're a poor person, I mean, you probably can't even afford gas if you're a poor person, let alone a plane ticket, because plane tickets are going up nowadays. I mean, I looked at taking a flight to Arizona. My sister took a flight here. You know what I mean? And looking at these plane ticket prices, like, good, really? Like, what? I know gas is more expensive, but come on. Good God.
Oh, no, yeah, it's going to cost you. And they say there are some people that are flying for the first time to get this procedure. Have never been on a plane.
And
it's
this
crazy.
is the first experience on a plane. Man.
Wow. Well, I mean, there's always a little vacation that they can take to Canada. It's just up north. So
cross the border.
There's that one, which in Canada they're not going to deny health care. But I mean, like, if you're not a citizen, then they'll charge for the services, but they won't deny it.
Shout out to yes, exactly. So again, we're thinking people came to the US from other countries. Now people from US got to be thinking about, where can I go to? And shout out to Gail at night on the super flex of a beautiful monetization show last night. Shout out to Uses. She had amazing heavy hitters. I think El Guapo, O'Shea Duke Jackson joined that stream. I gave my little offering. Girl, I'm so proud of you on your monetization. Congratulations. And thanks for being over here showing love on this stream. Girl, you deserve it. You have helped so many people. It's all coming back to you. It's your time now. So shout out to Gail at night on a beautiful show last night. It is thundering. Can y'all have the thunder and lightning out my window? Can y'all hear it? No, you can't hear it? Okay, I wonder if you can hear it. It's pouring outside, so I don't know if you can hear it. Yes, thank you again, Gail, for showing some love today. I see a couple others. Driscoll, I posted really? About Ruth Bader. I'm going back. I got to watch myself. Thank you, Driscoll TV. All right, give us new information if we don't have it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you also on the donation for supporting the content here. Appreciate you. And I think I see all, I hope I got all the super chats. I hope I got them. No. Let me see. BY says, we don't have baby formula. On any given day, there are thousands of children in foster care. Black babies are more likely to die in their first year of life. What's the sanctity of life here? I didn't get to ask. Thank you for this very, very interesting and heartfelt point. I know, and I don't want to speak for her, Family Values had asked or has said, why should the people be responsible for your child after they're here? On the sanctity of life issue, though, I never understood, and my argument would be support services when it comes to education, when it comes to living wage, when it comes to housing.
Right.
It's like we forget about the sanctity of the human being after they're here.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm always curious as to, and again, they're like, oh, you pose question. Okay. You dropped off, architect, your cell phone died. Hold on. Okay. It's all right. If your cell phone died, you can always come back. If you always want to, architect, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So if you want to make a point before I know your cell phone's dying, go ahead and
Sure.
make any final points you would like to make. Go ahead. Thank you.
All right. So first, if I don't get to finish it, I'll just come back after I recharge. But first of all, I would like to think it's shit.
I can still hear you.
We can hear you.
Architect? Architect? Oh, Lord. She might be going on and off. I can hear you. We can hear you. This has been a wonderful. We have about 15 minutes left, y'all. We're going to jump off. My body, my choice. Architect. Oh, we're not hearing you anymore. Interesting conversation. Many points of view. Not a single soul, I believe, can come away and say, I wanted to make it one side or not. In my opinion, architect, I'm dropping you down, girl. Come back when you're ready, or type in the back chat that you are good. Mandrell and Shushu has done an amazing job helping me to understand.
You're too kind.
No, you are. You are. You guys making a dynamic duo. They happen to be in the same city, y'all. That's why they're sitting next to each other.
Right.
Come for a visit, chilling out, making me stress them out a little bit, asking them about this tough topic, man. It's not a open or closed case at all. I just was like, how y'all got it wrong 50 years? I don't know. There's more. I gotta definitely the privacy right, the implied rights. There are so many things that are not really written in the Constitution, that are not enumerated. Marriage as a word is not in the Constitution.
Right.
Not given to the states. There's just so many parts of our lives that were not conceivable when this Constitution was written.
Right. Yeah.
But they're yeah. Oh, Family Values is back, girl. We got 15 minutes. Let's go. Welcome back. I'm gonna read a few more. I see a couple more super chats. Thank you for supporting the stream, y'all. Thank you so much. I see a person whose screen name is I just farted. Join the chat. Thank you. Appreciate it, Doug. On the super again. Appreciate you. Doug says there's AI, artificial intelligence, being developed to replace boardrooms in corporations, lawyers. I'm out of a job, and robotics to replace doctors. No way. Really? I believe you though. I'm not as versed, I'm sure, as you are. If you're not familiar with this information, I recommend you start doing I would be one of those people, Doug. I would be one of those people. Wow. So even legal arguments, I'm trying to think out. I guess. I mean, I'm sure they're developing this. Family Values, I'm going to bring you up to make your final point, my love. Thank you for coming back. Appreciate you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I made a few more. You probably was like, I heard Eris made a couple more comments, points. But this has been very helpful to me. I hope you feel the same respect that you started out by saying. And again, just because we disagree don't mean we don't have to like each other. So I'm willing to have the conversation though, and it's sometimes uncomfortable, but I'm willing to have the conversation. What other points would you like to make before we wrap up?
You did ask a question earlier. What was that question again? What do you think it's going to look like post Roe?
Yes. Now that this is the law of the land for as of today, 2022.
Okay. Well, what I truly believe what it's going to look like is going to be chaotic at first. I'm not going to lie about that. A lot of people are upset. There may be a few riots here and there, but I also believe that people are going to start seeking hope. They're going to start seeking help. And that's where us pro-lifers step in. We need boots on the ground. Women are going to need help. People are going to need resources. They're going to need assistance. So I think it's very important for all of us in these last 50 years that's been fighting for this. We need to step up, and I'm 100% on for that. And then with that, I believe that eventually, with my faith, I believe and know that this will be banned nationally through each state. No more killings of our babies, and then other countries will follow suit. I also put that
Sorry,
link
I hear you, and I'm
in the back
sorry.
chat.
I took a deep
Mhm.
breath and I was on mute, so I hear you. I hear you.
But
I hear you.
can I ask you guys why that is such a bad thing?
Not necessarily bad. I just don't necessarily think it's. I don't know. I just don't necessarily think when I think about the medical reasons why this would be maybe necessary. I don't know if I agree that it should be across the board banned. I just don't. I don't know. That's where my heart is. Gail, shout out to you. Gail said she was up late. Not to digress too much though, but I don't know if I agree with that. I just know that there are so many. I don't know. I
Okay.
think medically, if it were necessary to save my life, I would want it.
Right.
That's
There's
how I see
never
it.
a reason. There's never a necessary or a medical necessary reason to kill another human being. You can have a C-section, have early labor, but to go in, kill the baby, give it a heart attack, do whatever it is that they do. There's a lot of very barbaric ways that they kill these babies, and then it takes longer. It takes 3 days to do that instead of just simply inducing labor and then possibly working on that child, even if it's too young, to see if that child could survive. There may be some that won't survive, but that will force scientists to start working on better technology to help these children.
So, family values. A quick
Okay,
question.
I hear you. I hear you.
Just a quick question for you. And also, could you, if you could leave me some, like your
A couple people
email
have asked for your contact info, so
Yeah,
if you want to
email
leave in the
address.
back chat, no pressure, you can. Mhm.
Right. You
Okay,
don't have
I
to
did in the
pressure
chat,
that.
but I'll do it again.
Okay.
Okay. In the case of incestual rape, right? What do you think of that? Do you think do you not think it's cruel to force a woman to carry that that to term? You
Yes, it's
know,
absolute. It's cruel what the man did to that woman,
no, I
and
mean just
Well,
force a
her
woman.
father did to her.
Yeah.
yeah,
Do
what
you
the
think it's
father did,
cruel for the state to force her to carry that child to term, then give birth to it?
Let her
he
respond. Let her respond.
Yeah.
okay. What I first, before I even respond to that with my own opinion, if we were to say, okay, the exception is grape, would that be enough for everyone? No. Everybody will still be up in arms and say, well, there's other reasons why we need this. So I don't I
No,
hate
I
when
have my three.
right, a
Grape,
lot of people use
incest,
that.
life of the mother, and you could probably add if the person was mentally ill or mental people that get taken advantage of who are mentally not
Mhm.
well. Those are my four exceptions. But
Okay,
go
so
ahead,
those
finish your point. Mm-hmm.
all right, so for the instance of grape, I don't a lot of people use that, and even if we gave exceptions to all four of your reasons, there will still be an issue with banning deletion. But my own opinion about that is you don't kill the innocent child because of what their father did. We should make the laws for grape much harsher. We should kill them, not the babies. The babies did
Oh,
nothing to them.
so for you, murder
So
is
that's
okay in
Pause.
certain.
We only got 5 minutes. We can't open a whole nother can of worms. We got
Gotcha.
five
Yeah,
minutes.
I
But I
mean,
hear
yeah.
what you're I think the audience and those watching in perpetuity can hear both sides. So I hear what you're saying, family values, which is like there's no life worth taking even though the act was heinous.
no, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me not put words in your mouth. Tell me what you mean. Mm-hmm.
The person who did the heinous crime, he should be the one that's paying for it, not the child. The child did nothing to do, did not grape this woman. The child is an innocent being. Every time I spoke about killing a person, I always said innocent. These children are innocent. They did nothing to that woman or girl. It's the rapist that needs to be put to justice, not the child. And as far as her keeping the child, she doesn't have to keep the child. As far as her mental and physical health, she should get all the help that is out there for her to deal with this pregnancy. This is my opinion. But even if there was a okay, let's kill the baby because she got raped, right? There will still be an issue with that being the only exception.
I'm gonna have to leave it there. There's so much I want to ask, and again, there is room for everyone's opinion here on the Suzette Speaks show. I'm going to read a couple comments that seem to address some of what you're saying. Family values. Vaughn Bryant, thank you, Vaughn, says, this is incorrect information. Have you ever heard of an ectopic pregnancy? The baby is being formed in the tubes, right? Fallopian tubes. This is a medical emergency, so definitely medical.
That's not an abortion.
You have to suck it out. Do you not?
The baby is already dead. That baby is not going to live. Ectopic pregnancies is not the equivalent. And honestly, for people who have had ectopic pregnancies, they feel offended when people try to say that it's a form of abortion. That's not true. The baby is not viable or would never be viable. It will never survive.
Okay, wow. I don't know if that's how the law determines it. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying.
In an abortion,
law describes it that way.
Right. In an abortion, you deliberately go and kill the baby inside of the womb before it is extracted. That is not what an ectopic pregnancy is. That's why I said medically, if a woman is sick and needs to not be pregnant in order to survive, they should not have to go in and kill the baby first. They should birth the child, and if the baby doesn't survive, okay. But
so let me ask you this. For example, BY says, but what if the baby will have, say, a big deformity, 3 heads? People will have like the water in the brain and things like that. That baby should be born as well?
Yes. We should not. We earlier y'all were saying you're playing God. No, we're playing God by killing a child because we don't think its life will be good enough. Because there's science, there's enough doctors out here. I've seen plenty of who was it? I forgot the doctor's name, but he was able to separate conjoined twins. It's to the point where they are killing Down syndrome babies. I've known a lot of Down syndrome children, and they're fine. They are thriving, they're happy, and they're the most loving people that I've ever met.
So let's pull it away from, say, Down syndrome and go to something that is like almost vegetative. Who supports that parent paying for all of those, devil's advocate, medical bills, etc., for the entire life of the child if the person is, say, impoverished?
So I don't know if there's resources for that, but I don't believe that we should have the right to kill someone because we don't have the money to take care of it.
I hear you pretty loud and clear. I'm just thinking of like what the audience might be thinking because it's popping in my head. I'm not saying, I agree or disagree. I'm just listening. Linda Ballard, Miss Ballard, thank you for your sponsorship of today's stream. She says, wow, many years ago, my spouse had to choose between my life and the child. We had 2 other kids. You cannot be a mother from the cemetery. I'm glad he thought enough of me and my life. RIP to the OG. Guys, there's so much more we can say. There are
just to throw out there before you move on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to shut the show because I want to keep going, but Jamaicans.com has another show scheduled and I'm over my time. Okay. So, and I can't, there's no way I can just pull the stream from them and keep going on YouTube only. So I respect this conversation. We might have to have a part 2 because there are a lot of points I would like to kind of revisit, but final comments from you. Go ahead, Family Values.
Okay. Grape is less than 1% of all abortions. So we tend to fall back on that, and that's literally less than 1%. And then if we add medical reasons and disabilities, it's less than 2%. So we can argue these all day, but at the end of the day, the 98% are doing it for convenience.
I think that there will be a reporting issue if people. All right, we got to leave it there. I don't know if that's all private clinics included or just what public information from public clinics are included in that.
Right.
I'm asking. I don't know.
Not
all deletion is reported.
Well, the thing is, like I said, no clinic is required to report accurate numbers. They could have 1,000 people in there and perform 1,000 terminations in one day, but only report 2 if they want it. You know what I mean? There's no requirements for them to, and that's public information. That's according to the CDC. None of them are required to do this, to report accurate numbers. So the numbers can be whatever they want them to be.
Right, and I
understand. I'm going to bring up Architect for her final point. Any other response to that, and any other points you want to make before I have to close it? Go ahead, Family Values.
Yes, I agree with you saying it's not all the numbers, but considering that we get partial of the numbers, even if it was 10%, and that's really pushing it, if we got the real numbers, it still doesn't account for the other 80% that are doing it for convenience. But thank you, SuzetteSpeaks, for having me on.
Thank you. Appreciate you being brave, sharing your truth, and coming up and letting us know more information I know than I had, and people can research as well. So thank you so much. If you want to drop any links after, feel free. You're always welcome up on this panel, okay? Thank you, Family Values. A pleasure having you. Architect, you're up next. Final thoughts, please. After the phone charge, let's go. Thank you.
Okay. So, thank you. So I wanted to just make a quick statement regarding women, like the reasons why they would do the terminate, deletion or whatever. There are multiple different reasons. Sometimes they are married and they can't afford another kid. That could be one of the reasons, and usually, like they would decide together that they just can't afford another kid. Sometimes they're just not ready to be parents. They're unmarried, and in those cases, this is what I'm going to say: like the men who engage in producing those fetuses have a lot of responsibility to do with that outcome. And the reason why I say that is because that can be curbed by men just deciding to become better humans, like just be a better, respectful, responsible human being. For example, I'm sure like if women were getting like marriage offers and with like good men, they're not going to turn it down and go to the clinic. So I would say, instead of pointing your fingers at the woman and saying close your legs or whatever, help the men become better men, especially if you already know what that looks like yourself. Help other men become better men, and I think that could help the community to have better results, not having so many out of wedlock births, and having more stable households and not having so much domestic violence. So that's my final point I wanted to make. Just men, hold other men accountable into being better men.
Appreciate you, the Architect, coming through, voicing your opinion. You're always welcome here. I'm glad to see you up, and I know you'll get feedback on that. And again, I appreciate no matter where on the spectrum you fit, you are more than welcome, and I appreciate the honesty in terms of how you view this particular subject matter. So I appreciate you, sis, all the way from old Canada. Big up yourself. Thank you. I hope to see you. I hope to see you again. Thank you so much for coming up. Appreciate you very much. And then there were 2. Oh my goodness. What a show. What a show. What a show.
I'll say.
I don't know if we changed nobody's mind. I don't know if we helped nobody see something new, different perspective. I don't know. But I know this is something that needs to be talked about because it's going to have an effect for a very long time on people's lives, men and women. So I think we've done a good job of kind of uncovering the different sides of the arguments that have been pushed forward. But I'll give these wonderful guests of mine the final word on what their thoughts are on what the future looks like now. Or, I don't know, wisdom. Let's see. Where do we go from here? Go ahead, y'all. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Well, as far as what the future looks like, I think the future looks like it's going to go back to a lot of women either trying to get to other states and have them, or you're going to have a lot of more back alley deletions like they did before all this was legal. it's really not going to change much in terms of people's behavior, in terms of sexual responsibility and being accountable. And I think maybe like the next 10, 20 years down the line, once we see the result of all of this, if population wise things get better or worse, we just have to see. Because they may have to end up going back to it. You never know. That's my thought.
Understood. And what do you say, you, Mandrill?
Well, I say that, and I try to be diplomatic about why they did this. Hopefully you guys read between the lines of what I was saying, what I was trying to, and the point I was trying to get across, because I don't want to get your channel struck with any kind of notices or anything like that.
That's right. Yes,
so yeah, that's why I was so diplomatic with that. Anyway, how this looks in the future, truth be told, you really don't know. It could lead to all manner of things, because what you've done is you've opened up Pandora's box. What happens when you get a bunch of left-leaning justices on the bench now, and they lean a different way? This is a position that they put themselves in, that the right has put themselves in, and they have to maintain it, which is going to be extremely hard to do. I have a lot more insight on the government side of this, a lot more, but I couldn't get into it here on the show. But yeah, I also, here's what I learned. SuzetteSpeaks and I agree pretty much wholeheartedly on this issue. Every point that you've made, I made this yesterday on other platforms, right? When I was asked about it, and I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, my words coming out of her mouth. I made every single one of those points last night. But yeah, thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. This is a vulnerable subject matter. People don't feel comfortable talking about it, particularly from a man's point of view. So I applaud you for being a part of today's convo.
Thank you for having me. You want me a part of your panel again?
Yay! Oh, we coming back. We coming back. Yay! Yeah. I've enjoyed having you. RM said it. Hit the like button, especially show your love for Shushu and Mandrill. Thank you guys. Wednesdays is your show. Wednesdays,
8:30 p.m. Central Time.
Central. Okay.
So it's 9:30 Eastern.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you so much. I've learned from you. I've listened. Like I said, I'm not a person that has all the answers. I've never been in the situation that a lot of people who have faced this decision have been in. However, I just do think, had I needed to, I don't know. Like, let's go. Like it seems, again, the case for exception. Some of y'all are funny. Y'all go back and read the chat talking about let's raise a vasectomy fund. Okay. I don't know how that's gonna go. And then other people are like, yeah, I can't go back and read.
Some comments.
Some of these comments are off the chain. I agree with Sandy B. Law, saying it's interesting to see how many people think this one issue is gonna change all of our social ills. Right. Yeah. Right. I agree with BY, but it's mostly married women. I don't know, but no, but married women have yeah. So here we go. Enzo talking about the vasectomy fund. I don't know about that. And BY with the rough comment, I just want to congratulate all the new fathers of these unwanted pregnancies. Ouch. Ouch. Toe stomper.
Nice.
Ouch. Yeah, the chat is always Ebony says getting deletion or termination because it's not because you can't afford it is not a good reason. There are other people that will disagree. I respect your opinion, my love. Right. Thank you. Mine's got changed for sure. Somebody says thank you. I was gonna go, y'all, but went long. I was gonna go on Patreon. I might not. Let me see. I have an appointment right after. Let me see if I have enough time. But anyway, yes. There's also called severe pregnancy, says Vaughn. Conditions that make it impossible. Yes, the country's going backward. Butterfly effect, don't even breathe. I don't know what that means. Yay, Shushu, host the ladies panel on the Gray Pill podcast, they said. Okay. Appreciate it. Shushu, you have your own channel. I didn't know that. Thanks, Gail knows.
Yeah,
go and subscribe. It's in the chat, y'all. Show some love and appreciation for these two wonderful content creators. Again, thank you so much. Mandrill, Shushu, go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Y'all hanging out together? What y'all doing later? Okay, I'm just in your business.
I'm going to our cousin's wedding.
Oh,
Still
nice.
on the fence about it.
Oh, y'all want to support the? Okay, that's another show.
I support him. I support him, but
okay.
Listen.
But that's family. Families are difficult. It's all good.
Right.
Right. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, when you see it coming, it's
you
like,
know, you like, I don't agree. I even support y'all. I even set up there and say,
I have a good time.
He's family. Love him to death. Congratulations to him, Muzzle Talk, but
well, give it up, y'all. Not to get in y'all business, but I appreciate you. Mandrill, Shushu, thank you. We got good shows coming up Tuesday, Wednesday. Love to you guys. Enjoy the wedding. And I'll talk to you guys. Definitely have you guys both back. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It's a tough topic. Appreciate you so much. Y'all, it's been a wonderful show. Thank you again for you guys coming on, helping me unpack this. This one is heavy. So appreciate family values. Appreciate the architect. I appreciate everybody who came up on the panel. Chaos, Miss Linda, Andrew, everybody who came and gave their 2 cents. It is such a hard subject. I was afraid to go there, but appreciate you guys being able to rock with me, agree or disagree with anyone's points. We're going to keep it healthy and hopefully productive here to air out where people are on the issue. So come join me on YouTube Tuesday. I got Roxy Beckles talking about high value women, fitness, femininity, and faith. Thank you so much. Can't wait for that. And then Wednesday, Uncle Stu finally finishing up the month. What decisions must you confer with your spouse about? When do you need to involve your spouse in decision making? I can't wait for that. I need to learn. I have a good couple of fact patterns, some scenarios that people have been sharing with me. And I was like, ooh, I need to hear from the experts. Anyway, it's been such a pleasure. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for your love, the support in the chat. Thank you for the super chats. And I will see you Tuesday and Wednesday. Go over to YouTube, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. All right, appreciate you. Let me try to go out with some music. That was a plan, but let me see if I could do it. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like button before you leave, and we are out. And thank you again for watching. All right, take care.